If if you've ever felt like you've had writer's block, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Sometimes the right words, they're evasive and they just can't come out. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. It is hump day, the middle of the week. Actually, we have a shortened week, so not exactly the middle, but nonetheless, we do have some stories to go over here today. We do have an Apple product release today. What will that do for the market? And we're looking at flattish futures. I guess maybe they're taking a little bit of a turn lower here. So we're going to break it all down and get you ready for the market here today. Another day of making money with Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. That starts right now. Good morning, folks, and welcome back indeed, Jesse. Happy hump day. Great to see you again, and a happy Wednesday to all of you out there, especially the early morning crew. Let's go after and get it. Jesse, good to see you. Good morning. Kevin, good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Kevin, really quickly here, the sports radio station that I do here plays a little contest called Florida or Ohio, where they read embarrassing criminal stories, and then the host guess if it took place in Florida or Ohio. And Lakeland, Florida has a lot of entries. That's where I know that from. So a little funny start to the day there. Border Collie, an awesome breed of dog, by the way. My first visit here, looking forward to the experience. Giddy up. We're happy to have you here. Good morning. Let me know what it is that you want to cover. Paul, good morning. Welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi, welcome back. Couch Potato, Charles, and Chuck, welcome back. River, Ari Stock Market, Yassine, good morning and welcome back. What up, Ryan? What up, ATL Rust? How are things hanging in the dirty South, man? Thanks for joining us here again. Day Trader, good morning. No longer a synthetic Monday. In fact, we're just caught up, right? We're just right at hump day. No synthetic anything. White chocolate morning. White chocolate morning, white chocolate mocha, good morning. Easy for me to say. Welcome back. Producer, good stuff there. Mark Bureau, awesome name. Welcome back. Good to see you. Prudenica, welcome back. Kumo, Crimp Biscuit, Bigga Bees, let's get it. Welcome back and good morning. Hemanta, good morning. Zoo, good morning. Art Goist, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Good morning. Welcome back. Nikhil, welcome back. Philip, welcome back. Wiss, good to see you. Chopped Coop, are you chopping the tops off cars and making drop tops? Welcome back. 3D, good morning. Jonathan, good morning. Harris, good morning. Hellcat and Dream, good morning. Let's go ahead and get right into it here, folks. Let's go ahead and share the chart here for the SPY. Wild day yesterday. I mean, it was very, very low volume, but like the levels that we actually put in were just kind of odd. First of all, if we look inside, we'll get back to the daily chart here because it does look like we're still kind of flashing a breakout. I know we're a little bit light here in the pre-market. S&P futures down just about 1/10. Dow futures down almost 0.2. And NASDAQ here down or about unchanged, excuse me. So I know we're a little bit weak here in the pre-market, but I still think that we're flashing a potential breakout. So we'll see where we go. But let's look inside at the SPY because the action yesterday was pretty crazy. First of all, on this candle right at the open where we plunged from the pre-market highs that we had actually been sitting at for most of the morning, we kind of drifted higher right out of the pre-market open and sat near those highs. As soon as the market opened, this thing started to sell off. But we actually printed a 611 even all-time high right at the open. So the previous all-time high was 610.99, and the new all-time high right after the open yesterday was 611 even. So we set a new all-time high by a penny. And that was concerning because we had talked about how the chart really was showing us that we were going to go print a new all-time high. We did that by only a cent. And then the market was weak for most of the day. We sold off right out of the open. Remember, I got stopped out of my Amazon trade. I kind of pulled it back after that because I didn't feel like I had a good handle on things. We'll see how today goes. We chopped around a little bit. We actually took another push lower. That got bought back up. And then all of the action, the crazy action was right here around the close. And we actually, let's see, the high of this candle, this was prior to the close here. The high was 611.38. And so it does look like we set a new all-time high that was more than just a penny, but it took to the very last 5-minute candle of the day. Just again, kind of a wild scene there as this got bought right back up at the close. Definitely in the moment, it felt like window dressing, right? It felt like, gosh, this is not really an accurate representation of what the market was like today, albeit it was low volume, so it was easier to push around. I concede that. But it just didn't feel like that was what the day was. And then they kind of marked it up right at the end of the day. So we'll see what happens here today. We do have some market events here today. I had mentioned the Apple product release. That's happening. We got building permits and housing starts coming in 25 minutes. Actually had, I think, a mortgage origination pulled back. We got that data print yesterday. Then we also have the FOMC minutes here today. So we do have some economic activity. Really, the question is going to be, is it enough to move us in any type or in either direction in any substantial amount? So if we look at the daily chart here, fresh off some new all-time highs yesterday, it looks like we're going to open beneath that here today unless something crazy happens again in the rest of the pre-market. Currently got a price of 610.92, that all-time high 611 and change. So we'll see if we end up pushing through that and taking the next leg higher. I know that's kind of what we're waiting to see. And if we're unable to find that strength here today, perhaps we will pull back and take a look at some of the levels, or excuse me, pull back to some of these levels. Let's take a look at what those are. First one here is actually going to be your intraday low from yesterday. I've got that at 608.38. That's going to be the first support level, or the first potential bounce level if the market resumes its selling. This would be yesterday's intraday low. Below that, we've got the 20-day moving average at 605.18, and then we have the 50-day moving average at 599.20. Honestly, that 50-day moving average is pretty much lined up with the round 600 number. So I would expect both of those, let's call them forces, I guess, to be in play if the SPY moves down to that level. Unsure if we get that here today. I'll be honest, if it's a repeat of yesterday in terms of the volume, I doubt we're actually going to be able to make that significant of a move. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm going to keep an open mind here for everything, and we'll see where we go. Now, I did have, as far as I know, we always talk a little bit about this market overview, and I generally have a story for you every morning here. We did have some more announcements from Trump about tariffs. The market doesn't really seem to, I don't want to say it doesn't care, because the market does care, but it seems to shake this off. It seems to understand that this is an attempt to do something else. Trump basically was saying that, he's going to give plenty of time, doesn't have a specific date, going to give plenty of time. So here, it says right here, Trump did not specify a start date, allowing manufacturers time to establish factories in the U.S. to avoid tariffs. So he's even telling you, we'd like these to get avoided, but it's going to take XYZ in order to do that. The market seems to be kind of shaking that off. Now, we'll see how it actually pans out throughout the course of the day. The other thing is that there could be more that we hear from either him or someone else in the administration that could shake things up. But so far, it kind of looks to be shaking that off. S&P futures, by the way, as we're speaking here, are actually trading up. They paired off some of those losses, only down 0.05% now. But what I wanted to get to here, more than some of the tariff tantrum talk, some alliteration for you on a Wednesday there, we're going to be these Ryan Dietrich tweets that we talk about all the time. The stats are great. So first one here, and with that, we have the second all-time high. So with yesterday's performance, we have the second all-time high, which is just kind of outlined for you. Since 1957, when it became 500 stocks, this is the 1,243rd all-time high out of 17,176 trading days. In other words, a new all-time high happens about once every three weeks on average. Okay, new highs happen. Congrats to investors that remembered. We actually shared a chart like this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about how the S&P 500 made 57 new highs last year and how substantial that was. We wanted to see if it's going to come even close to that here this year. Already we have two. And we're, almost out of February. So we'll see where we end up finishing there. The next stat that he gave was the one I wanted to focus a little bit more on here. And this is a question that we kind of rhetorically ask ourselves all the time. It's obviously different for day trading and swing trading and investing and all of that, but I definitely wanted to cover this. Should you buy when stocks are at all-time highs? It's a popular question that Ryan's firm, Carson Research, gets to anyone that's involved in the market gets these questions all of the time. It's a great discussion topic. In fact, if you folks want to have that discussion here, I would absolutely be open to that. Let's do it. Ryan goes on to say, my take is don't be scared of new highs, as the S&P 500 is up a year later 71% of the time after an all-time high and up a median of 8.3%. In other words, about normal returns. So this is taking a longer term viewpoint and saying, you know what? If you buy something at all-time highs, just give it some more time. More often than not, that's going to be higher. Now, the one thing I will say here is we're talking about quality companies. In this case, if you're talking about the S&P 500 performance, we're not talking about some of these little companies that PR things about oncology or AI or a combination of the two and run several 100%. So let's just be very clear. But an interesting stat nonetheless, even if you do buy at all-time highs, just give it some more time. Even in the face of the sell-off, you're likely going to be okay. And I think that this is also kind of steelmans the argument that if you're looking to invest long-term, dollar cost averaging on things like SPY or quality companies that you have a long-term view on makes a lot of sense and does provide outsized returns over time. So again, just something to keep in mind here. This is something that we talk about all the time. These are, the $64,000 questions all of the time. So just wanted to share that stat with you. I thought that was interesting. It's been my experience. I actually, when I first bought the Apple position that I've held since 2014, I bought it after a split. And as soon as I bought it, I watched it trade down. And I watched it trade down like 5 points. And I thought to myself, I was like, I know, I feel like I'm doing the right thing here, but the stock's not giving me the performance that I want. One of my other buddies bought it at the same time, ended up selling it because it's like, it just keeps coming back in. I don't know what it means for the future. And of course, the rest is history. That position that I bought at $92 is now split adjusted down to like $20. So again, just your biggest asset as an investor is going to be time. And you should worry more about that than buying at highs if you have a long-term approach. So really interesting stuff there. Okay, now we get to my favorite story of the overnight, I guess. Bill Ackman follows Warren Buffett. Hedge fund promises, quote, modern day Berkshire Hathaway, end quote, with the latest transaction. Now, this, I think, is extremely interesting. And I would love to get the opinions of the group here. I want to know, are you folks interested in this at all? We'll talk a little bit more about it. Are you interested in buying this at all? I think the producer is going to run a poll question here about, can Ackman actually become the next Warren Buffett? We'll get that going here. Producer, you let me know when that's live. But aside from the poll question here, I also I'm just wondering what you folks think about this. What's going on here? Hedge funder, interesting, Bill Ackman announced a revised proposal for Howard Hughes Holdings, ticker XIII, in an effort to create a modern-day Berkshire Hathaway holding company and copy the conglomerate style of legendary investor Warren Buffett. Of course, famous for Berkshire, we all know Berkshire Hathaway, the Class A and the Class B shares. The Class A shares have never been split, and it's ridiculous over time, or the price is ridiculous over time. His goal is to turn the firm into a diversified holdings company. So Pershing would not sell any of its Howard Hughes shares and hold the stock for the long term. In fact, I believe the language that Bill used is we would never sell the stock. Howard Hughes would continue to have an independent board of directors, which would include some of the Pershing Square directors, and Ackman would become the chairman and CEO. The $900 million cash infusion would allow XIII to immediately begin to pursue the acquisition of controlling interests in public and private companies as part of its new strategy of becoming a diversified holdings company. One other thing that I want to kind of point out about this is that I don't think it's coincidence that the timing of this idea coincides with the boom, if you will, that we're seeing in the AI craze. I think that some of these long view investors, guys that have a really awesome track record and been doing this for a long time, see what AI means. And then I think what really kind of separates them from the rest of us is that they see what this can be in the future, and they have a pretty good vision of that. And so I don't think that the whole AI uprising, boom, whatever you want to call it, I don't think that it's a coincidence that Ackman is looking to create a holdings company here. I wouldn't be shocked if let's just say this was successful. I wouldn't be shocked to see a portfolio that had a lot of AI exposure in it, both public and private. The other thing that's going to happen here that I'm curious about, Ackman and Pershing Square will host an X live broadcast at 9 a.m. today to discuss the planned proposal. Now, I love this idea. I love using X as like a town square to kind of get your idea out there and discuss it with the masses. I think that's an awesome idea. I would prefer, personally, this is just me being selfish, I would prefer Ackman do this after market hours, because even as interested as I am in this, I'm not trading my attention for trading, especially around the open, in order to listen to this. We should be able to listen to a replay of this, or perhaps we'll get headlines out of this. But again, I personally have no ownership in Triple H. I'm definitely interested, but and I definitely want to hear what he has to say, but I'm not going to do it in lieu of trading here. We will make available the full resources of Pershing Square to Triple H in building a diversified holdings company, or one could say a modern day Berkshire Hathaway. So again, let me know. What do you guys think of this? Do you like this idea? Would you invest in a quote modern day Berkshire Hathaway if Ackman kind of made it that way? I was listening to some stats here. I think he owns like 47% here. I think I don't know if those numbers are in here. It must have been in a different article that I was reading. I think here we go. Nope. Under the terms of the buyout, Ackman's Pershing Square would own 48% of the Howard Hughes outstanding shares. That's up from the current 37.6% stake that Pershing owns already. So, it's an interesting concept. I wonder if it would work. I definitely want to hear some more details, and I'd love to hear what you folks think about this. Is this a good idea? Or is this something that it's just, I'm not really interested in this. I'll pick stocks myself. Let me know. Really interested in that. Okay, next, we're going to talk about Meta because, gosh, the streak is over. And actually, let's start here with the chart. Let's go back to the chart. Take a look at Meta real quick. 20 straight days of the stock trading up. 20 straight days of the stock trading up. That now has ended. Yesterday, stock pulled back 2.76%. All is lost. All is just kidding. Anyway, Meta finally ended that streak. One of the most impressive modern streaks in terms of just being up all of the time. Let's take a look at the story here. Declined on Tuesday after making history with its 20-day long winning streak. The stock fell beneath its 8-day simple moving average. That's the 8 SMA for the first time in several days. Mark Zuckerberg's firm rose 20.22% in those 20 trading sessions. Just a massive move. Company added over 350 billion in market cap during that period. Just an absolute rager. So I say all of that stuff there. The story here is great. I encourage you to go through it. Especially if you are invested in Meta, or if you're thinking about investing in Meta. It's got really good analyst rating forecast, really good trend forecast here. The average price target among 43 analysts is $731. The price is currently $713. So actually, they're telling you that it has even more room from where it's at after this 20-day run. So really interesting stuff here. My question is, for you folks, is what is the smart plan here with Meta? Not what you think about Zuckerberg or what you think about the company. I mean, where the stock actually is. We had this big run. We are still, I guess actually not actually today after yesterday, we're back near the top end of overbought, but we've been in overbought territory on the RSI. So I say all that to say, is Meta setting up for a short? Or is this a temporary blip in which investors should buy the dip? I don't trade Meta. We've talked about that a lot. I certainly don't invest in the long term for Meta. But I am curious to know, or I'm curious to see from our group, are things changing here? Is it time to maybe play Meta to the short side? Do we have a regression to the mean here? I mean, just looking at this right now, 713 price versus a 200-day moving average of 555.5. I I mean, it's 170 points down to its 200-day. And I think regular moves back down to the 200-day are fairly normal and healthy. So really interested in, is Meta a short? This could, if this did end up making a pretty good short, this could be epic. So what do we think here? 20-day in a row streak ended. Does that now mean that Meta is set up for a short? Big Bees says, let it come in for a while before jumping in. Let it set up again for the next tranche up. Okay, so Big Bees, it sounds like what you're saying there is don't necessarily look for the short. Instead, kind of wait it out and target the long side when it flashes the long signal. Interesting. Paul says, I want to nibble on puts with Meta. That's exactly where I'm at, Paul. That's why I'm asking this question, is because I saw this. I'm like, do we have a reversal here? Are we going to reverse? Are we going to come into any of these moving averages? We got a huge amount of points that we could actually cover in order to do that. That would make for a pretty good short, especially if you were buying puts, especially if you had your risk well defined. So, Paul, I like that, and that's effectively what I'm asking. Where is the short spot on Meta? If we do get a short, where's the take profit target here? Sebastian saying, forget your Meta setup. Palantir is the better short. And I can definitely understand why you would say that. I mean, we're talking about stocks that have just been on huge runs. Palantir, especially on an RSI basis, definitely more overbought than Meta. You can see, man, what a move here on Palantir. So I'm with you on that. I love this company. I want to own this company long term. I think they're going to do great things. I'm a huge proponent of cybersecurity, especially here in 2025. I just think it would be pretty healthy if the stock pulled back. We'll see if we're able to get that there. But shout out to you on that one, Sebastian. Meta's the one that we're looking into, but Palantir, I totally get it. All right, Crim Biscuit says, waiting for Dana White to smack Zuckerberg. Okay, I'm not sure what would become of the trade from that, but I'm here for Dana White smacking Mark Zuckerberg. That would actually be funny to watch. Lion saying we need confirmation. Okay, so regarding the Meta trade, Lion, you're saying we actually need confirmation that this is not just simply a 2.5 or 3% pullback, but does this actually set up to the short side? So I'd ask you here. Here we go. You gave it to me without me even asking. Meta needs to close red today for me to go short. There you go. So Lion, appreciate you. Direct answer to the question. It's exactly what we're looking for. Hugh says we're getting closer to the end of the month. Day by day, we're getting closer to the end of the month. Am I right, my man? Okay, good stuff there. I'm sure Jim saying wait for a new setup. Jim, do you mean wait for a new long setup? If Meta comes in, do we want to then set up for a long trade? Let me know. Let me know what you meant by that. And then real quickly here, before we get to Tim Melvin, I did want to cover TEM real quick. I know this has been a pretty awesome trade for us in here, whether it's day trading or swing trading. I went the day trading route, kind of kicking myself. Actually made several decent day trades on this stock, but I would have done better if I just held on to it and wasn't as active. Stock just an absolute ripper of a move here. Let's really quickly cover some of the headlines here for ticker TEM, Tempest AI. Few key highlights. Tempest AI's fourth quarter adjustments in the portfolios of various funds through its 13F filings. So Cathie Wood, ARK Invest, adding it. JP Morgan added a staggering 43,424%, or 1.6 million shares in the fourth quarter. UBS increased its stake. Barclays, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley hiked their stakes. BlackRock has a ton. So my question to you here is, did Pelosi know about this ahead of time, or are these folks following Pelosi? You let me know on that. Tem, one of our favorites here. This is likely to be on deck. I mean, I think this is worth at least checking out every single day just to see if you get an opportunity to trade that. We did get a little bit of a pullback yesterday, 8.5%. So we'll see if maybe we set up for a potential bounce there. But would love to hear how you folks are trading Tem, Meta, and other technology stocks here today. By the way, quick look at the futures here. S&P futures, we talked about them kind of coming off the pre-market lows. That has since turned around here. S&P futures now down almost 0.2 here, looking to take out those lows. Dow moving in the same direction, and NASDAQ also moving in the same direction. So it looks like whatever type of positive bias that we had later in the morning here has now reversed. Looks like we are trading lower now. Okay, folks, it is actually almost 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. You know what that means. On a Wednesday, it's Tim Melvin Day. Let's go ahead and bring him on and see what he is looking at. Tim, good morning. Happy Wednesday, my man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and thank you for the Tempest lead in. That's something that we've been looking at this week because we decided to go back and do some work on congressional returns and see how these folks are doing with their money.
My man.
Now, allow me to start this conversation with the fact that I detest Nancy Pelosi as a person, as a politician, as a Speaker of the House. I lived in California, not in her district, but I'm familiar with this woman's career. I mean, I'm just not a Nancy Pelosi fan. Having said that, there's no conspiracy here, kids. What the Pelosi family has done, because remember, her husband's a really smart guy. They're rich people that live in San Francisco. Okay. So now if we're going to indict Nancy Pelosi, we have to indict all the rich people in San Francisco. And I'm okay with that if that's the decision we make. But all they did was they took their tech stocks, right? And they sold a lot of them. They replaced them with leaps. Okay, that triggered a disclosure. So they haven't done anything crazy. They're really wired into the tech community. If you look at their holdings, they are outperforming the market. So is everybody that is buying the large cap tech stocks. And I will just say, if you got a really strong opinion on a stock, swapping it out for a leap is not stupid because you get basically zero cost leverage or low cost leverage that can be 3, 5, or even higher than just buying the stock outright or even using margin. So, don't look for the conspiracy here. And for God's sakes, don't try to track congressional trades. Right.
Okay.
And I'm shooting myself in the foot here, guys, but there's a 30 to 45 lag day.
Okay. So
lag between filing and so be careful with, I guess.
Okay. I think that's really good advice there. Fair point made. Do you have any thought on where this is currently at for like a new trade here, or what are you thinking here with TEM?
They're going to lose $5 a share this year. Okay. They are not making money. There's no prediction that they will ever make money. It is an AI company that's they're going to build platforms for oncology, neuropsychology, so all the hot segments, right? So it's a cool stock. It's a great story. It's been a winning IPO. Let's say they'll lose $800 million this year. Sales are $640 million, and there's a $13.1 billion market cap. Now, Ryan, for those playing at home, this is a 20 times price to sales. All right. So what do you imagine my interest is in this stock, or my thinking that this is a great setup for a stock long-term purchase?
I'm thinking that you're probably going to pass and look for something a little bit cheaper.
Hard pass for me. Okay. At this level. And it's the kind of thing, right? If Tempest AI works and it delivers its potential of applying artificial intelligence to all of these areas of healthcare that they're talking about, it's 100 bagger from here. You got time to wait and see how this plays out.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And one more thing that I wanted to mention there, your comment about leaps. We actually have some folks in the chat that do that actually do buy leaps instead of stock for long term. So glad that you're kind of commenting on that. Shout out. You folks know who you are out there. You talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to hit the one statement that it's leaps in companies where she's on the committees that make news weeks later. Not really. It's all tech stocks. I really don't think Nancy's pulling the trigger on this stuff. I think her husband is. Now, I'm going to back up a minute. I don't believe that if you're going to be in Congress, you should be allowed to trade individual stocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what this same person went on to say that.
Yeah. I think that when you accept that awesome responsibility, I think you need to step aside and, put it all into a trust and walk away and stay away from it. So, but anyway, just my thought, be careful, because there is a huge lag between when they act and when they file. Cloning any of the rich people in San Francisco over the last 5 years would have made you a ton of money.
Yeah.
And by the way, their 10-year return, it's about right in line with the QQQ if you used about 20% leverage.
Okay.
So there's that. Now, starting out this morning, a couple things. First off, Torsten Slok of Apollo, one of the two best economists on the planet right now. There's only three that I pay any attention to at all. And Slok is at the top of the list, mainly because he's been really right about a lot of things. Now, he came out and he's at Apollo. And of course, he and Henry McVeigh at KKR, they get a different perspective of the world as economists, because they're seeing boots on the ground data from businesses and assets, buying real estate, buying infrastructure, buying businesses, selling businesses, borrowing money, lending money all over the world, but primarily here in the United States. So they're seeing stuff that the ivory tower economists and the government economists will never see. So his viewpoint's been very different, and he's been very right. So he came out this morning with a list of 7 questions that investors have to be asking themselves right now, because the implications with the market where it is, and understand he's pretty bullish on business and the economy, was like, he brings up a couple great points. So I want to share them with everybody here.
Okay.
First, total federal employment, including contractors, is about 10 million. How long can Doge continue to pull off these related firings? Remember, you've seen the agency firings, some of them. You haven't seen the knockoffs out to the contractors yet. Could this create a recession? How are the markets going to respond if we start seeing 300,000, 400,000 jobless claims on a week-to-week basis? So that's an interesting question, and it's one that he's not the first one to bring it up. It's front and center on a lot of minds right now.
Yeah, and actually, not to interrupt you here, Tim, but I'm going to give our group and hosts here a pat on the back, because this is actually something that we've been talking about for a couple of weeks here. If the job numbers really start to, or if the unemployment numbers really start to become crazy, what's that actually going to do for the market? So it's not just some of the economists out there. There are others thinking about that too. Okay, Fairchild here says, how can it not?
That's I'm kind of with Fairchild. This could get to be a thing. Now, the other question, and this is where, you can criticize Jerome Powell all you want, but I've said this for a long time. The worst $200,000 a year job in the history of $200,000 a year jobs is Fed chair. Because now you've got, can Doge cause a recession? Next question. If inflation remains sticky, and it certainly looks like it's going to, and the Fed does not hike, what happens to long rates and break-evens in the bond market? What does that mean for stocks?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not good. Okay. Now, next, what happens to the debt ceiling in June? Don't think about this one too much. You'll lose sleep because wow. I mean, it's not that the two sides are fall apart. The fractions inside the two sides are far apart. So, and a debt ceiling, like it or not, we've got a bunch of auctions coming up between now and June, and they're going to be impacted by what's going on with the debt ceiling and the debt ceiling negotiations. Okay, then, and this is one that I've talked about. We're all concentrated in the S&P 500. We're super concentrated. Okay. Now, for those of you that think that's normal, it's not. The last 2 times we were this concentrated were 1999 and 2009. I'm sorry, 2007. So, you guys do the math, right? Nothing good happens when you're this concentrated, because much as it was one line in one earnings report that started all of the free fall. Use better words than the one I had in mind there. Back in 2000, if say OpenAI did an IPO and it flopped, or we get an earnings disappointment from Nvidia, or something goes wrong with any one of these leading um, AI companies, or China comes out with something that relapse around everybody, like DeepSeek already took a lap.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if they stole a bunch of stuff and made it even better? Because remember, the Chinese tech sector did depend in large part for years on stealing our stuff, but then we did something really stupid. Um, we educated all of their data scientists and then sent them home. That's never really made sense to me, but we did it. So they've got some really smart people working on all the stuff they stole. What if they get better and they get a lead on us? Okay, what happens if all these super high tech stocks start to fall for any one of a number of reasons? What happens to the broader market? The next one, and this is another one, if this one could increase liquor consumption dramatically. Who will be the next Fed chair when Powell's term ends in 2026? Because it ain't going to be Powell.
Yeah, this is another. Tim, I absolutely love what you're doing right now. This is another discussion that we've had in the happy hour, kind of going back and forth. And first of all, I'm completely with you. There's no way Powell does this again. No chance.
Well, no, it's even if he wanted to, and you have to be insane to want to. The president's not going to let him. That's just, there's no way. These two, newsflash, in case y'all hadn't figured it out yet, these two guys don't like each other at all. So what does that mean for the market? Because a rubber stamp in the White House, a White House rubber stamp at in the Fed is not good for markets. Okay. Whether you hate the Fed, want to end the Fed, burn the Fed, audit the Fed, buy the Fed some roses, it doesn't matter how you feel about the Fed. In the world we live in, an independent Fed is necessary to the proper function of the economy and the markets. You can argue till you're blue in the face, and all I got to do is just point to the global economy, and I win the argument. We can't function without it if you rubber stamp it. The last rubber stamp was a fellow named Arthur Burns. He is an ugly, ugly asterisk in the history books, because when Nixon told him to cut rates in spite of the data in the early 70s, he did it. Just go back and look at the chart and you'll see what happened. It wasn't good.
And we don't want to repeat.
We don't want to repeat that. And then
for sure.
The other one, and remember, if you go back and you look at what Volcker did, raising rates up to where, he briefly touched 20% to fight inflation. He fought with first Jimmy Carter and then Ronald Reagan all the way up until they finally broke the back of inflation. And then the next one is, and this is an interesting one. I'm dying to see how they do this, because previous two administrations, I'm going to put the blame where it really goes. The stock of T-bills outstanding is at a record high as a total share of debt. Are we going to fix that? And how are we going to fix that? Because somehow we've got to shift some of that short debt out the longer end of the curve. Nobody wants to buy our longer bonds right now. So it's an interesting problem. And then you've got to be thinking, we've really segmented the planet in terms of trade, technology, security. What implications does that have for developed markets, for the United States, for emerging markets? Everybody looks at this and everybody hates China. In China, they got the real estate problems. They got these problems. They got that problems. Chinese markets are screaming higher, especially tech stocks. They're crushing the S&P 500. So while everybody was down on China, all of a sudden that market took off. Where's the next market to do that? So that's just 7, I thought, very cool questions that it can help you frame a longer term outlook in here. And Captain Obvious, yes, Trump did say Powell can ride out his term. Donald Trump has said a lot of things during his entire career. He means it for now. Let's see what happens when Powell makes him angrier than he already has. So it's all very interesting time to be alive. Now, speaking of private equity firms, and I was, one of the things that I follow every quarter is 13F filings.
Okay.
And I know the media does it today. Now, when I started doing this, guys, we literally We had the old quotrons, right? We didn't have the fancy internet, and the internet was not even a gleam in Al Gore's eye. Okay, so
Okay.
uh, we had to actually, get the physical copies of the filings and go through them line by line and compare them to the previous quarter, to figure out who was buying and selling what. Now, if you go back and you look, everybody follows these things, right? 13 Fs now. What did Warren Buffett buy? What did Carl Icahn buy? What did Bill Ackman buy? Right? Who gives a flying, you know what, at a rolling donut, what those
Donut.
elderly, ultra rich dudes bought? Okay. Unless you are a 90-year-old billionaire sitting on $50 billion in cash with some of the largest operating businesses in the world, why in the hell do you care what Warren Buffett bought? You shouldn't. Okay, is the right answer to that. And it's like Ackman. Ackman says, I bought 100 shares of ABC. ABC goes up 15% by the time you see the news.
Mm-hmm.
So they are not the best money managers on the planet. They're rich and they're famous because once upon a time they were. So what we have to follow, and you have to be constantly sorting and searching, who really are the best investors on the
Interesting.
planet? Who are the institutions that are really out there getting the job done, making a ton of money? Now, one of the answers here, and we're getting ready to throw out a lot of stock ideas. So if you care, either come back and get the recording, or you're going to want to get a pencil and paper.
Yeah, you know what I'll do here, Tim, is I'll take some notes, and that way, if anyone misses it, I'll be able to deliver it. I'll be able to deliver it. So,
Okay. Much as the big private equity firms see more of the economy and see more of the world, they also see a lot more of the markets, both as sellers of stock doing IPOs, buyers of stock buying buyers of businesses. Remember, private equity done right is all it is value investing with a ton of leverage. Okay. These guys' stocks portfolios do really well because they tend to be comprised of stocks where they think they might have an interest in buying the whole thing at some point, or companies where they've done a partial IPO and they need to get the stock a lot higher to sell the rest of it. Because when you look at a private equity IPO, they usually sell 10 or 20% of the company to the public, retaining 80, because they want to get a few earnings reports under the quarter, under their belt, and get the stock price a lot higher post IPO. So their portfolios, there's a market tendency for them to do better. And there's a couple of these guys that just smoke it. One is KKR. And, Kohlberg, Kravis, and Roberts, or KKR as it's known today, is one of the most successful investing stories in the history of investing. And if you just owned their top 10 stocks, you have, since 2008, you've earned 20% a year. Just, own their top 10, rebalance every quarter, and you don't do a lot of trading or anything else because there's not a lot of activity. So, first off, understand that primarily this quarter they were buyers of short-term corporate debt. A couple years out, a lot of deal financing elements in there that you and I can't buy, but they were buying a lot of short-term high-yield debt. But their top stocks, you guys ready? And these are top stocks that they didn't dump or anything like that. So Bridge Biotech, BBIO, it was a portfolio company. They've had it in the portfolio for a very long time. Same with Brightview Holdings, BV. KKR Real Estate Finance. I absolutely love this mortgage REIT.
what's the
Great.
ticker on that? KKR?
KREF.
KREF. Gotcha.
Now you have now had KKR and Blackstone both come out and say, boys and girls, the bottom's in for commercial real estate. It's in for offices in big cities. Now, leaving aside the equity implications of that, the implications for the people that finance the buildings is enormous. So you've got KKR Real Estate Finance Trust sitting out there trading at a discount to book, about an 8.7% yield. The offices that they've had to foreclose on, and there's been some, they just take them and have KKR's real estate division operate them until such time as they get more favorable pricing and they sell it and bring the profits back into the REIT. So I absolutely love that. They've got a big position in DoorDash, DASH. Madison Square Garden is a big holding, MSGS. Their BDC, FSK, which is one of my two favorite BDCs in here.
FSK, you said?
FSK, yes.
Okay.
And then a stock that, you should buy this, tuck it away, forget you own it. It's Crescent Energy. This is a partnership between John Goff, one of the greatest deal makers in history, and KKR's energy department. They're doing acquisition of long-lived proven reserve oil and gas operators in the
Sorry,
United
Tim, help me
States.
out with the ticker on Crescent.
CRGY. They pay out 50% of free cash flow. They're reducing debt. They're buying back stock. This thing, just forget you own it for a decade. It is a home run waiting to be born.
Home run waiting to be what?
Launched.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. I said
I like
born.
it.
I said launched, but whatever. Okay. Now, Apollo. Apollo is one of the coolest stories in all of private equity. These guys, just so you know how sharp they are, they were all deal makers at Drexel Burnham. When Drexel Burnham fell apart, they looked around at the carnage, okay, of junk bonds. Now, these guys had put the deal together. So they knew what everything was worth, which ones were garbage, which ones were worth zero, and which ones were worth par. So they formed a company, Apollo, to go in, acquire the debt, reorganize the companies, and sell them. And Apollo was born. Needless to say, they made a ton of money. So they were buying Altis, the cable company, ATUS, Community Health Systems, continuing to buy up hospitals, Uniti, UNIT, which is a fiber optics REIT, Alpha Technova, TKNO. I really like this company. They're doing cell cultures and reagents for the biotech industry. So they're not doing any actual biotech stuff. They're just selling the scientists the stuff that they need. Then they also bought some.
Is there less just like kind of individual stock risk because of that in TKNO?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. That's interesting. That is interesting to me.
Okay. Then midcap investment, MFIC. This is the old Apollo investment. They changed the name. That's their BDIC. It is not one of my two absolute favorites. If you're wondering what the other one is, it's Ares. But on pullbacks, I do like midcap financial, and it's sitting there cranking out a 10% dividend. So Apollo and KKR should be, those are your go-tos. You go to them immediately. How am I doing on time? I'm doing. Let me know if I start to run over or take too much time, Ryan.
We're good. We still have more time here for you. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stocks so far. So folks, if you missed them, don't worry. When we're done here, I'll go ahead and throw that in the chat. You can add these to your Melvin watch list.
Now, let's talk about who should you really be paying attention to every quarter. Now, please don't think that I'm demeaning Warren Buffett or Carl Icahn or Bill Ackman or any of these guys. They're tremendous investors. They're great businessmen, but they're not the very best investors today from which we should be lifting ideas. Now, this one's for the tech-loving among us. One of the absolute top performing funds out there is out of Boston. It's called Whale Rock Capital. Now, be aware that in 2022, these guys got shellacked. They were down like 60%. They have recovered rather nicely. Over the last decade, they've earned about 26% a year. Over the last 3 years, including said shellacking, they're up about 25.99. So not a lot of drop off there. What they do is pretty volatile, but it works. Real simple. They're tech investors, okay? And they buy all these cutting edge technologies, and the ones that work end up being in the portfolios forever. I mean, their largest positions is just going in here, like include Amazon, Broadcom. They got involved with them in 2008 and 2009. They've traded around them a little bit, but they've owned them forever. Same with Facebook and Nvidia. So the ones that can work and keep working, they just keep. But you go back and you look at the most recent quarter. What were they buying? Semtech, SMTC, Roblox, RBLX. I know I said that wrong.
Roblox, yep, RBLX.
Yeah. Alchemy Technologies, ALKT, Reddit, RDDT.
Oh man, okay.
Twilio,
A lot of winners in this list.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These guys are really good.
Yep.
Altazian, TEAM. And then they were adding to their already monster positions in Amazon, Apple, and Salesforce. Now, these guys are straight up, legitimately shooting the lights out.
Yeah.
Okay. And they have done it for a very long period of time. They don't just embrace, they don't just endure volatility, they embrace it, they make it work for them, but they're concentrating on these really profitable, high quality, great cutting edge technology businesses. As long as they're working, they keep them. So you end up with a weeding out process as time goes by. So you end up with a portfolio that looks a lot like theirs, where you've got all the greatest tech companies as your top 10 holdings.
Okay.
Okay, now jumping right in, here's a company doing, again, about the 20% a year of the last decade. It's called, it's really stupid name, Brave Warrior Advisors. And this is Glenn Greenberg's company. And he calls it Brave Warrior because he was a partner in Chieftain Capital, and he and his partner got a fight, so he just took the name Brave Warrior Capital. Now, Brave Warrior, Brave Warrior, the white guy from New York, the Warrior. He's buying AutoNation, AN, One Main Financial. Then he's buying AM, Antero Midstream. Obviously, we love the midstream. And then he's also buying TD SYNNEX, which is this distributor of technology. This one's worth noting, even though it's run.
What's the ticker on that one? TD what?
SNX.
SNX.
Yeah, they distribute PCs, mobile phones, accessories,
Gotcha.
endpoint technology, primarily software. Everybody is buying this. The Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, LSV Asset Management, Raymond James, JP Morgan, Rockefeller Capital. I'm just going down the list. Stevie Cohen is buying it. Bridgewater's buying it. Everybody has been buying this stock over the past several months. So it's kind of worth stepping back and taking a look at this to see what's going on there. So
this chart actually looks like it's breaking out here. So real quick, I got AN, AM, SNX. Did I miss one there? Did you have a fourth one that I couldn't grab?
Let's see. Brave Warrior Advisors, SNX, OMF.
OMF, that was it. Thank you.
One Main Financial.
One Main Finance. That's exactly what it was. Sorry, went a little too quick there for me.
That's all right. That's all right. And then one that I also always check, and this is a small firm. You probably never heard of it because I didn't really hear of it till they started just constantly popping up on the list. They're out of Bethesda, Maryland. So all of their home prices are going down because if you've seen what's going on with listings in the Washington, D.C. area, it is legitimately insane in the area around the Beltway, Northern Virginia, and the suburbs of Maryland. The number of houses that have suddenly popped up as for sale is incredible.
If you look at a Zillow based map where
great.
All of the different new sales are red pins, it literally looks like a completely red conservative map. There's just there are so many houses available for sale in DC. Can't say that I'm pissed about that.
Okay, so now Abrams Bison Investments, they've cranked out 20% returns over the last decade. Last 3 years, they've done 23. Returns have been really consistent for these guys. So when we come in here and we look, they do not own a lot of stocks. They run a very concentrated portfolio. Now, they were very busy in the quarter. And by very busy, I mean they took a great big, long, fat, hairy nap. They sold some of their interactive brokers. They sold all of that. They sold all of their JP Morgan, and they bought some Applied Materials. And that's kind of it. They own
that, right?
Yep. They own a bunch of SNX again. They own some Shark Ninja, whatever that is. SN.
That's the. I'll tell you what that is. That's the knockoff Dyson vacuum.
Okay, well,
they sell everywhere. Product's garbage, but the stock's been great.
Right, and then they own some SLQT, the insurance company, the Select Quote, but they didn't do anything with those three. The only thing they bought was Applied Materials. You see that a lot in these smaller, high performing investment firms. That there's just not necessarily a lot of activity all the time. And then out of Austin, Texas, we have Ancient Art, and again, they tend to shoot the lights off of things. Um, Very concentrated portfolios. And what were they buying? They bought a Bitcoin trust, IBIT, IBIT.
IBT, that's one we look at all the time. Okay.
Civitas Resources, a company that I've been involved in. Oscar Health.
What was the ticker on Civitas?
CIVI.
CIVI. Okay,
Yeah,
Civi. And then OSCR. This is one we talked about recently. Okay.
Oscar Health. And ahead of the curve of most U.S. investors, they bought some Alibaba.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
They were with Tepper on that one. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just coming in here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. I shouldn't, but one of the top performing firms out there is M3F Advisors. And for some reason, these guys were all with Hovde, which is out of the Carolinas. They're bank and financial services analysts. Okay? They are, again, shooting the lights out. They're some of the best bank stock investors absolutely on the planet. So what were they buying? BM Technologies, that's BMTX, Summit State Bank, which is SSBI. I love that bank. NODK, which is NI Holdings, also a bank. Alaris Financial, another bank. Broadway Financial, I absolutely love Broadway Financial. It's not heavily traded. It is a minority-owned bank. They are doing everything right. So they got some of the Fed bailout money that pumped up the balance sheet. They're totally remaking the bank. They're getting on track. They have tons of capital. They have a great loan portfolio. They're way off of Wall Street's radar screen. Be careful. This thing does not trade a lot of shares during the day. This is a great bank trading at about half of book value. At some point, there will be a tie-up with some other bank that wants to take advantage of this really powerful niche that the bank occupies. So if you're buying it looking for something to happen over the next 3 to 6 months, don't bother. But looking out longer term, that could be huge. And then that one is way too small to even talk about, so we will not do that. They also bought some Air Sale, which is the aircraft financing, ASLE. So that's just, a couple of these, right? And most people haven't heard of these particular money managers. They don't know who they are, but they're the ones performing at an incredibly high rate right now. Okay. And over the last 5 to 10 years. And when you go back through and you look, of a lot of these really big name investors, they've slowed down. They're managing billions of dollars. And a lot of this stuff just doesn't scale very well. You can't be a small cap value or a small company fundamental momentum investor with $50 billion. It doesn't work that way. So, and as you go, you can do this. The relationship is linear. The larger the asset pool is, the lower those returns start to be for 98% of investment managers. So 13Fs are powerful tools. Okay. They're like the greatest free research company on the planet, but you have to use them correctly. Good rule of thumb. If you see in the headlines that one of your managers that you like bought a bunch of these stocks and more than one news outlet carried the story, you just throw that one away. It's done. Okay. You're looking for the ones that nobody else is following. Okay. They're stacking up high returns and doing things nobody else is doing. Now, what I'm going to say straight up, for, again, like 98% of these guys, turnover rates are very low. So from an investing point of view, finding the right stocks and holding on to them, even like Whale Rock, they're continually culling, but their big gains, what drives the massive returns, is the fact when they get an Amazon, they get a Meta, they get an Nvidia, they keep it. and they may add to it on pullbacks, but they tend to keep that core position for a very, very long period of time. And that's how they get those massive compound rates of return. So
Okay.
got it. It's two hats, guys. You got your trader hat, and that's what you do here. But you go over here when you're thinking like an investor, stretch your time.
Okay.
All right, so that's. I have more cool stuff, but we can't possibly get to it all.
No, and that's
today.
okay. We ought to save cool. I mean, I have probably 20 plus tickers here, and I have them separated by the different funds that you had talked about. So, folks in the chat, Ryan, I know that you were asking. Not only will I post the tickers, but I will also post the fund that Tim linked those to, and you can add those to your note sheet. Tim, I'll take care of that here when you get out of here. I do have one quick question for you. One of the news stories from yesterday overnight here was Bill Ackman trying to become the next Warren Buffett. I don't know if you saw that. He's trying to take a more of a stake in Howard Hughes Holdings, ticker Triple H. I just wanted to get your opinion on that. I think I kind of know based on what you were saying about, these guys not necessarily being the best, let's call them traders or stock pickers right now. But I actually thought that this story was interesting. Obviously, I have no position in this, but I am interested in this.
I think, yes. I mean, when you get to the size that Ackman has become, and Bill Ackman is a brilliant guy, so let's not diminish his accomplishments, but
yeah,
he's going to be able to do as a businessman a lot more with Howard Hughes Holdings than Howard Hughes management of a public company has proven themselves to be able to do. I mean, there's some great assets here.
Mm-hmm.
So do I think it's smart? I do. And not only do I think it's smart, I think that when you get to the size that Ackman has gotten to, there's really nowhere else to go. You can turn around and do venture capital deals. But if that's not really your kind of expertise, you're going to get burned a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
But Ackman does know real estate, and he knows this part of the business. So why not make the offer, bring the assets in-house, do a Warren, right? And if you're good at allocating capital and hiring talented managers and let them do what they're going to do, you end up making more money as a non-public company than as a public company. So it's actually smart on Ackman's part.
Okay, sweet. That was that's more in depth of the read that I had. I really liked it. I said I was curious to see what I think they have a Spaces starting up just about now. Anyway, appreciate that. Appreciate the insight, Tim. Really great stuff here. A happy 13F day. I think we're going to call this a holiday here.
That was actually on Valentine's Day. Also known as the Russell Stover Survival Insurance Day.
Handcrafted in small batches, baby.
Yeah, right. Specifically for February 14th. Without Valentine's Day, there's no earthly reason for that company to exist. And real quick, I did have to go to the grocery store Valentine's morning. The number of guys walking out of that store with flowers and balloons with the 50% off tag still dangling from it was phenomenal. It was just there was a hallmark moment to be sure. So, all right, guys, that's all. Well, it's not all I got for you, but come back next week because I'll tell you, Ryan was in touch with some friends of mine who I'm not a trader. These guys are. And they did a study of the very best technical indicators. And it is good. This is good stuff. They tagged it on what's the most reliable, what's got the highest win rate, and then what was interesting, which ones have the highest total return. And what was really cool, there's a couple indicators in here that have like shit percentage. Sorry about that. They have really, really poor win rates, but the returns are unbelievable because when they're right, they're big right.
Okay, cool. Okay. So, Tim, in the business, we call that a tease.
That was a tease.
Done. Well done.
That was a tease. So, anyway, guys, we will see. Well, some of you, I guess we're doing a thing Tuesday night, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so look for us Tuesday night. Otherwise, I'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks, everybody. Really look forward to this and enjoy it every week. Thanks, Ryan.
Tim, I second that, and I speak on behalf of the entire group here. We're grateful. So have a great rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy the leftover Russell Stover's chocolate that you bought at 50% off, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
That is Tim Melvin. Folks, as soon as I bring 13 on here, I'm going to start throwing this into the chat. There's a ton. He really outdid himself with some of these stocks. And I also want to shout out one of our viewers here. This is exactly what I want to see. Ryan, first of all, sorry, not sorry that I called you Rye Guy. I get called that all the time. So I pass it forward. Sorry, not sorry. But Ryan here saying, can someone drop all the tickers he mentioned? I need to look into them properly, and I'm just listening for now. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this type of viewpoint when you get someone, even as someone who's as experienced and successful as Tim Melvin is. Doing your own due diligence and getting your own familiarity with these different names is absolutely paramount. So Ryan, yes, I would be happy to do this for you, and I appreciate that you're trying to do your own research on top of research that Tim does for you. That is a winning mentality, my friend. So really good stuff right there. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's bring on 13. 13, I'm sorry, man. It's 4 minutes late. How you feeling here today?
Oh, a lot better than I was yesterday.
Oh my God, you sound a lot better. You sound like a different person today. I love it. That is exactly what I wanted to hear.
This wellness being brought to you by Cell Phone Tether.
Oh, so you're still without internet?
Yeah, they're coming this morning, but I do what I got to do.
Oh my God. Okay, folks, I need you guys to smash up the like right here. Smash up the like for 13. Forget about me for a sec. Just smash the like for 13. Yesterday, you lost internet. Join the happy hour via Tether just so we could discuss a couple of things. We actually had kind of a light news flow day and stock day, so that was really, really helpful. And now you're back here again for on Tether. Anne-Marie, Wolverine for sure. I told you yesterday he heals like Wolverine, and lo and behold, here he is. Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I like the claws.
Fortunately for the rest of us, maybe. Okay. Where do you want to go first? I need something. I need basically a 25-second break here where I can deliver these tickers to the chat, because I know you folks have been waiting for them. So 13, is there anything that you want to discuss or talk about here first that I can start with, deliver these tickers, and then go from there?
Well, we can start with these movers. Seeing that a lot of movers that we have today are pretty much a lot of ex-girlfriends, things that we have traded and hung out with, dated for a while, and then we moved on. So we're going to start with LY. Oh, we can start with SINT. That's fine.
No, we'll start with it. Whatever. I just clicked on the first one on the list. Which one do you want to do?
We can do SINT. The reason this was moving today is because they received a U.S. patent today. Now, I think this may have been recycled news because I noticed that they also were receiving patents earlier in the month, and I think it might be this for the same. It may be the same thing, but I don't believe it quite is. I think it's just similar because a lot of the work that they do is making medical devices, and one particular type of material they use, just give me a second here, is silicon nitride. So that's what this patent is for, and what that is used for is helping to adhere to a wide array of biomaterial substrates. So that reduces infection, potential applications to orthopedic and dental and spinal implants. So there's a lot of things here that helps, their particular medical devices work with the human body. That's what is moving it today. The company has 1.34 million shares in the float, and they need cash. So it's looking to me like at some point, I don't know when, could be today, could be later, they're going to have to raise more capital, and they are no stranger to doing such a thing. They have made many multiple offerings over the years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Looks like 13 or 14 offerings over the past 5 or 6 years. So, and then they've also done a lot of reverse splits. Looks like 6. I'm sorry, 2 reverse splits. Looks like the earlier ones were just regular splits, but the reverse splits have been huge. 1 to 100, 1 to 200. Yep. So this company is no stranger to the process of reverse splitting, raising capital, losing it all, and then doing the process all over again. So,
and the daily chart shows this behavior.
Oh yes, it certainly does. So keep in mind, if we're trading this today, it's we could see some setups, we could get some activity here that's going to get us some gains. But once you've traded this, be done with it, because a capital raise is likely coming, and we don't want to be in this when that happens.
Yeah. Okay, very, very well said here. SINT, great look at the chart here. We're actually doing a pretty good job holding on to VWAP and that $5 handle. We'll see if we end up kicking that out. Excuse me.
Yeah, we need to recapture VWAP, and we've been having a hard time
Yeah.
doing that since about what is it, 8 o'clock.
Well, I
Something
have it above VWAP, but again, I know our VWAPs are a little bit different
Right.
here. I have it basically using that as support.
But I would like to see the MACD start to curl more so that we
Okay.
have a better indication that this is trying to move higher. I have 555 as a resistance area, so that's above us. We've seen it move past that in the pre-market already twice, but I would need to see recapture of at least my VWAP in order for me to think, yeah, this could test that again, maybe even go higher. And I do have levels above 555 after that.
Okay, so if we get there, we can actually talk about those levels. Okay, really good breakdown. While you were doing that is exactly what I needed. While you were doing that, folks, I went ahead and threw a bunch of posts in the chat, and I separated them by the different groups, right? So KKR, Apollo, Whale Capital, and then I listed all of the stocks that were associated with those that Tim Melvin thought about, or that Tim Melvin mentioned, excuse me. Of course, if you need, and good morning, Mike, if you need that, if you're unable to copy these for whatever reason, or you think that you missed them, you can of course email me and I will send that to you. Like I said, I know when we have a lot of stocks here, it can be real tough. My email's in the chat. It goes directly to me. Just let me know. 13, I also slacked you that list. So you should have that entire list too. I think some of those names you've talked about in the past before. So, okay. Really good stuff. SINT, let's keep rolling here. Should I just go down the list, or do you have another one that you want me to go to next?
Go ahead and go to the next one that you think we should be looking at. I see that the chat is mentioning SCDG and JTAI. Those are some other movers that we can get to, but I wanted to cover the bigger movers first. And what I mean, when I say bigger, I mean they've moved more this morning.
Okay. Both JTAI and SEDG are on the list here. The next one that I have is OSR Holdings, ticker OSRH.
Yeah. I'm just going to avoid this one.
Yeah.
This is a SPAC.
Okay. So this is a SPAC that we're assuming has not de-SPACed yet.
Oh, no. I think it just made the whole process of merging with the company. And yeah, and to your point, yes, it's got a de-SPAC now. I don't know this is going to be a good one. Maybe you get some bounces on the way down that you can try and trade, but for me, this is just going to be something I avoid because SPACs are not hot like they were in 2021.
Fair. Okay. And this thing has actually carved out a huge range here today. So, all right, OSRH, let me see. I don't know what this is. I don't have a company description here. We can come back to this if necessary. Jonathan, helping us out here. Absolutely love it, dude. Love it, Jonathan. OSRH and CYCU both have warrants at 1150. So there you go. Thank you, Jonathan, for helping out with that. OSRH, I'll probably skip this too here today. Let's move to the next one. That's going to be JTAI. I like how you said this is definitely an ex-girlfriend. We've traded this one quite a bit recently. Jet AI shares are trading higher after the company announced a 50 megawatt project as part of a new 120-acre campus. That is your PR here for today. Stock is up 42% and climbing here. Quick look around the horn, just to kind of refresh. 7.6% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, so not a whole lot of squeeze potential there despite the short interest. Say that again?
Small float.
Small float, though, 1.879 million shares here, and we've already traded 5.8 million shares today. So 13, what do you got here? Ticker JTAI. Looks like we're actually right back to where we closed on Friday.
You know what? Let me bring this up in my broker because I didn't go over this one as much because we've seen this one before, and this does really well in the morning. Let's see here. So as far as levels go, because this one had a pretty good day. What was it on Friday? Yeah, it looks like Friday.
Yeah.
So I would just draw on those levels because that's those are the levels that the earliest levels that I see. So we could look at 621, 680. Yep. And then all the way up to 820 as potential levels for this one. Mm-hmm. But that's what I would be keep my eye on for that. Didn't really take a look at their financials. Looks like they are going to need to raise cash because I don't see any on the balance sheet or very much on the balance sheet. Income statement says that they burn about $3.5 million a quarter.
Mhm.
So I would have to look a little bit further. Looks like they also have from Friday. The reason why it was moving was because they are going to be selling their aviation business to Fly Exclusive, and that's not going to make them a passenger airlines company, I guess, anymore. So not sure exactly what they're going to be, but it sounds like a 50 megawatt project on a 120 acre campus. I didn't dive into that, so I don't exactly know what that's all about. But
interestingly, sorry, I was just kind of thinking out loud here. Interestingly enough, Fly Exclusive here down 7%.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're losing cash because of they're spending it on JTAI's business.
Yep.
So that's all I was looking at with JTI. I'm more interested in just looking for setups and trying to raise capital as early as today. This is one of the things you got to watch out for. They filed for an offering back in January, and I don't think that's closed. It was for 1.27 million shares. So just something to keep in mind. I'm not going to hang out in this thing too long. If I do trade it, it'll be just quick movements.
Okay. Really good stuff there with JTI. Come on, Kat. Can you let me just keep going with the show here? All right. Next here is going to be CYCU. And what a trip we had on this thing. This thing went 4 to 12 and back down. What on earth is going on with this one?
It doesn't look like there was.
Is this also a SPAC?
I think it may also have been a SPAC, and thank you, as Jonathan, I believe that provided the warrants. So yes.
Yep.
Another SPAC. Let's see. This was
cybersecurity partnership. That's something to look into here. Don't have a line on this though.
Into your theme.
In my theme, but not familiar with the actual name itself.
As far as the float goes, let's see here. We have a 9.38 million share float. I don't think the short interest is anything we need to worry about. We don't have a read on the financials. So, folks, just look for setups in this. And if it provides them, we can take it. But we don't have a whole lot in this company. So be careful. That's a SPAC. It could go lower.
Okay.
It will.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Jeff Bezos, how's the bodybuilding going, Ryan? Looking lean. Well, thank you. How much can you bench and can you give us a demo? Okay. No, I can't give you a demo. Last time I maxed bench, I think 225. I don't have eye-popping bench numbers. I think that's what, 2 plates? 90, 180, 45. Yeah, it's 2 plates. So I think that's probably my max. No, I can't give you a demo. And I'm not trying to become a bodybuilder. I'm just trying to get in better shape. It's going really well. And I'll say this. Actually, just this morning, one of the other things that I've been doing, I kind of borrowed this from Red Dog. When we were talking to a bunch of the different T3 guys about their morning routine, Red Dog's really kind of jumped out to me. And I thought, one of the easiest things you could do is add push-ups to your morning routine. Just get that first cup of coffee in and it'll be no big deal. I actually had someone reach out to me today because I've been tweeting about this and says, you know what? I really appreciate that. I'm going to add that. I'm going to add that to my own morning routine. And he asked me a couple of questions about that. So I was really, really happy to see that. I appreciate this. It's going really well. And it actually makes my day-to-day more enjoyable. I feel like I have more energy, Jeff.
I feel like you should be doing a little bit of an exercise on stream. We'll call it Gains with Ryan Faloona.
There's no way that I'm going to do that. There's no, I mean, first of all, if you've seen people that like lift weight, like what I'm doing is just for like my own personal health. There's nothing really impressive about what I'm doing. When you see people that actually lift weights, like it's their job, it is something else. And there's no comparison there. There's no comparison there. We're going to stick to what we're good at here, stocks. I might throw in a little bit of sports, a little bit of culture in there, but no, we're not turning this into a weightlifting stream, you folks. Come on. Hey,
gains are gains.
Yeah, gains, indeed. Gains are gains. Okay. Let's see what I got here next. SEDG, Solar Edge. This is one that you folks definitely wanted to talk about. We are ripping here. Solar Edge technology shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 sales results and issued Q1 revenue guidance with its midpoint above estimates. So this is going to give you the positive earnings catalyst here, plus 32% here on Solar Edge. Lion, I saw that you mentioned this one earlier here. This is wild. Solar Edge Technologies adjusted EPS, a 352 loss, missed the loss estimate of 165. So that EPS read, not great here. Sales beat by 8 million. Stock is rocketing, plus 31% here.
Yeah, because they guided pretty well above. And, they had a range that they guided in. It was 195 to 215 million. Consensus was 202. Call it 203 since it's 202 and change. But the point is that they exceeded that guidance expectation, so it's going higher. In addition to that, you have a very high short interest with this stock. 47.18% of the float is shorted, with 6.75 days to cover. Folks, this is a short squeeze on earnings. So that's the movement we're getting here today. Let me take a look and see what levels I have for you. But as far as the cash position goes, I think, because they do lose billions, and it seems like they need to do some kind of capital raise based on the amount that they burn up each quarter. So I don't know if they're going to, if the revenue that they're going to be bringing in this next quarter is going to be, is going to offset that, because that's a huge amount. You look at their quarterly statements. That's the biggest miss in recent times. So I don't know that they're necessarily. Oh, what happened here? Well, hi. Anyway, so I don't know that they're going to necessarily be able to turn positive in the next quarter or burn less cash. But as far as I can tell, this is really squeezing, and that's the important thing we need to take away from here today. Let me look at some levels here for you. I don't know what just happened. And it looks like on the daily chart, we have about 24 could be a potential resistance area. That's the next big one that I see. I'm not exactly sure what. I know it's like the 13 show now, right? I don't know exactly what happened here. I don't have a whole lot of control over the. He left us. What do we do? I don't have a whole lot of control over the stream, so you get to see my ugly mug for a little while I talk stocks. Another thing I can bring up, and this is not really my wheelhouse, but I thought it was interesting because it's one of the ones that was moving today. Oh, looks like we're moving around here. Was LYT, and this one is this one had news recently. Actually, this is the Indian company that I believe that they're involved in some kind of telecasting or downstreaming. So it's like I guess somebody may have called it the Netflix of. Hey, there you are. And
Apparently your internet trouble is contagious, dude. Because my internet just died, just randomly.
Who's your provider?
Comcast.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
not what I call them. That's the clean name. Let's put it that way. Anyway, glad I'm back here. Well, you to help me out. Where do we leave off? I'll catch up here. Sorry about that. Folks.
No worries. I finished up with Solar Edge. I was talking about how this was a short squeeze. And then I moved into one that it's a penny stock, but it's one that I was really moving this morning, and it's one that we've seen before. That was LYT. The reason this is moving is because they received the listing notice, and they had until the 20th. They had until yesterday to file an appeal for a hearing, or they were going to be delisted on the 20th tomorrow. But they did file that, so they're allowed to continue to trade. Until as they go into that hearing, which I don't exactly have a date for yet, but that's the reason why it's moving up. 22.4 million shares in the float with this stock. this comes with a significant amount of risk. So if you are going to trade the setups and then be done with it, because I don't know how high this will go, but I definitely know how low this could go.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there. What's next? What's next on the list here? You said you finished at Solar Edge. Did you do RSLS?
No, Reshape Life Sciences. No.
Okay.
This was a lap band company, I believe, right?
Lap band?
Um,
Medical device company.
Yeah.
So, I see. So to treat obesity, I am sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess I just needed to keep reading there. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's right in there. The company's portfolio includes lap band, adjustable gastric banding system. So this is the pre GLP-1 way to manage or to deal with heavy weight. Now, I've traded this one before. I really don't like this stock, but if it provides the setups and it provides the trades for you, of course, don't let my opinion of it stop you. The float is very small, 687,000 shares, and they
just did an offering.
They did an offer.
They did an offering yesterday morning, so at least that's out of the way here. It looks like it tried to bounce a little bit. I don't know. Maybe if this can we talked earlier about maybe there possibly being a meta reversal, and is it time to short? Lion, I think that your response to that was we want confirmation. Well, I think the same is true here for the other side. If you think this is going to be a bounce, I think we probably want confirmation of that before taking it post this offering. That's just me though.
Yeah, and the thing about this is that it's very oversold. So you could see, some movement to the upside in the very, very short term, like, just a matter of hours today, or maybe just, today in general. But there is a gap to fill to the upside if that's going to happen. That gap was, of course, created by the offering.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are going to fill that gap, you're looking at the price going up to 232. That's where the gap fills. But aside from that, aside from it being, very oversold, potential gap fill, I'm not really that excited about this company.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
I'd actually rather talk about Meta.
Yeah. Okay. We can absolutely do that. Really quickly here, though, got a question here. First of all, Jerry, Benzinga, is there any good internet out there? I wonder that myself. It always seems to drop and lose connection at the worst possible time. If you're hosting a show, that is when it will go out. If you're in the middle of a really important trade, guess what? That's when your internet is likely to go out, it seems. Anyway, we've got a question here. Did you do TRNR? So I did not cover this. Did you cover this while I was gone?
No.
Or as Lion was saying, well, I was going to do push-ups. LOL.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, but we can take a look at it.
All right.
It seems like they got some PR here. About
Interactive Strength shares are trading higher after the company raised its 2025 revenue outlook to over $50 million amid sports tech acquisition plans. So this stock actually popped to 240 here. Real quick, just to get some of the stats out of the way before we discuss it and dive into it, 6.3% of the float shorted with 1.43 days to cover, 1.378 million shares in the float, which is kind of a low float here. See if there was anything else that we can get out of this. Nope.
There was some news last week about the acquisition I think you were talking about here, where they were going to be picking up sports tech for $15 million in non-voting convertible preferred stock. So that's the acquisition news now.
Okay.
As far as the pro forma revenues go, that's going to be an increase to their market cap is 1.67 million, so this is really pushing that up. Their float is 1.378 million. I feel like a lot of that move has already happened in the morning here. So I think what we're going to want to do is wait and see what this ends up doing at the open to see if it starts to turn around and come back up. Because if it does, then we'll be able to trade this more easily. And I do have levels for this one because we have traded this before. Back when it was over $10. So from here, geez, it's kind of just been trying to find a bottom for pretty much the entirety of this year and the most of last quarter. So
It doesn't sound great.
You have
You're right though.
You have fun trading this. I don't really think this one's for me. Seeing that it's just really below all my EMAs, and yeah, I just don't know how much there is going to be here. But by all means, if you find a way to trade this, go for it.
Okay.
Still, really, I mean, you might even get a move back up to VWAP. We have 1 minute left before the market opens, so.
I was just going to say, let me flip over to the main workspace here. Pretty Panda, if NIVF, you meant TRNR, you corrected that in the next post here. Doesn't fall 20% at the open. I like it. Trader TV Migrant here, been listening. I like the format. Appreciate that. Let me know if you have any feedback where we can adjust it and make it a little bit better. Always looking to improve here. Appreciate having you here, Pretty Panda. So basically, you're saying if this thing doesn't get crushed right out of the open, it might have some strength. Now, to your last comment there, 13, I do think that there might be a move back to the VWAP here. We've seen that from even some of these other stocks that are weak. So maybe we'll get that again. Okay, let me flip over to the main workspace. Cross my fingers my internet doesn't drop again. Okay, you're just crossing your fingers. You just got quiet there, and I thought for sure that we were getting some bad news. But we are not. Oh, my other computer is not loading. You guys can see you're there, right? Say something.
I'm here, okay, and we're about to open.
Okay. There we go. Bell's open. All right. Or the bell sounded. We are open. See what we got here today.
Yeah, and that's real quick comment on Meta. I was looking at the XLC yesterday, and it's the XLC is made up of a bunch of different telecoms, but heavily into Meta and Google. This thing is really overcooked. I think that we're going to see the communication sector come in this year. It's been a top 2 performer over the past couple of years, and to me that means that it might underperform this year. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. Let's see, what do we got here? TRNR not really doing much out of the open. Sorry, which one?
I was going to say, it looks like Solar Edge is starting to push up here.
SCDG.
There it goes. It's beat the pre-market high already, and it's moving up.
There we go. By the way, Kevin, I saw that you were mentioning this earlier. Sell H. Happy Wednesday, says Kevin. Sell H. This is actually a nice little pump right out of the gate here on Celsius. What does this daily look like here? We did come up off the bottom on Celsius. Okay.
What a fantastic double top that was.
On Sell H here?
Yeah, did you see that? You had it on I think a daily, and it you could see before you zoomed in to the price action here that it had a pretty big double top.
Trying to go back to it. There we go.
The daily. I was just mentioning you have to back out some more.
Oh, these two. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay.
All right. So JTAI that is still holding above VWAP, trying to push to the pre-market high of 649. CYCU is halted to the downside.
Sell H, by the way, continuing to rip there, 25.5 prints. Nice little move out of the open.
Sedge came back into 23, kind of holding on to VWAP still, but
look at Eat It. Look at Eat It. We actually printed 2. Remember, this was off the CRISPR upgrade. We got it right here. And I remember I was day trading this on Friday, ended up taking a loss and then rebuying it should have held on to this till today. 2 prints here on Eat It. This story might not be done. CRSP, another one related to this, and NTLA also related to this.
So now we have another halt, OSRH. That one is halted to the upside after breaking over VWAP. It also appears that this is breaking a trend. Double check here.
STAI also halted to the upside here, right out of the open, 338. Let me get my calendar for options rolling here.
If you want to visualize the trend in OSRH when you have a moment.
Let's do that right now.
I'm sure you'll be able to see it on your own, but just use, I was using the 5-minute chart. You can use the 1 minute if you want. Should be on there. SINT, SINT. This is the one that had that 555 resistance area. So it just popped right up to that, and now it's turning around.
I've got VWAP at 504 there. Just lost this. Cint might be in trouble.
Yeah, looks like this could end up going down to the 65 EMA if its support does not kick in here.
That ORSH right to that trend line and halted. Obadi in that one prior to the halt. Good stuff there. Let's look around here.
Yeah, Cint trying to hold on to 5.
Tesla ripping out of the gate here. Not on Tesla, unfortunately, today. Amazon had a little bit of a dip. I saw a question from someone earlier saying, is Amazon a buy? Here's what I'll say about Amazon for a potential. First of all, you're asking, I can't tell you if you should buy or sell something, but what I can tell you, I kind of do like that. This can hold 224, kind of already has here, but if this can hold 224 here, you could probably trade that against 224 on a day trade here. We'll see. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd take the other side of that. Amazon lost its 50-day SMA, which it hasn't had any interaction with since September of last year. So I think that's a pretty significant. It needs to recapture that 50-day SMA, where I think this does go lower. I see a pretty good support area at about 216.30.
Okay, so you basically, wow, so you really are taking the other side of that. You think this needs to trade up 3 whole points and take out 228.30. Otherwise, lower we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
right,
we've already had one close beneath the 50. We don't want to see 3. So today would be number 2.
Yep. All right. Let's see if Amazon. So it's trying to bounce here. Now, remember, it didn't necessarily print 224, but it went towards that area. Let's see if this can actually go positive here. If not, this might roll back over and test this. You guys are mentioning LYT here, that penny stock that's rolling.
Yep. That one's trying to push up here. Sometimes, these.
I traded LYT at the end of last year. This thing was. I feel like this thing was $1. This was above it. Yeah. Man.
This thing ripped. It was a penny stock. It ripped above $1, and then it came right back in, and it almost went into like the teens territory.
My God. Sell H new highs. Kevin, what happened here? Earnings tomorrow announces the timing. This was yesterday. Okay.
TRNR might be interesting. It's moved above VWAP. It's above all the EMAs, and we might get some crossings here. Just need to see a little bit more volume than this one, then it could get going. Meanwhile, a lot of these other ones we were looking at not doing as well.
So let me stop you there. Just stay on TRNR here real quick. Shout out Pretty Panda. You were discussing this one right at the open. You said, look, if this doesn't drop 20%, you like it. Well, we did get that trade back to the VWAP here. I know I didn't actually print 186, but boy, oh boy, we got pretty close there. Coming back in. That was a good call. You gave us that call before the market even opened. That was a good call. Good looking out there. Sorry, 13. I didn't mean to take you off your roll there.
No worries. It looks like Solar Edge is really starting to come in now. Popped and went beneath VWAP. Looks like if we do get some support, it's going to come in around 1920.
STAI is open. Looks like this came lower, right? And now trying to go higher here. STAI. Let me actually bring this up in my broker here. Scantech,
what's this about?
It's got AI in the name, dude. That's all we needed here.
Yeah, you're right. That's all it is.
Yes, I mean I'm sorry. I'm kind of joking around. I'm sorry if that rubbed the
wrong way. No. I'm joking too.
Scantech AI. We had a PR yesterday for contraband identification. Had a really good move yesterday. Maybe we're starting to repeat that here today. I think you can actually use some of these levels from yesterday. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and mark them here. I think 380 is definitely one of them.
OSRH unhalted and is ripping.
Okay.
So we could end up seeing this go into another halt.
Got some levels here for STAI if this continues. 379, 394, 441. Let's take a look here at OSRH. Boy, that trend line break, that was it, 13.
Yeah.
That was it.
And it looks like this could continue to move up. Now, the pre-market high in this one is 995. Looks like it's about to halt again.
Yeah, it is going to halt here at 732 if it holds. I'm not in this one. I'm going to stay away from this one here. By the way, that Tesla spike that we saw, I see puts getting bought into that move higher. More RX calls. Remember, we actually had a pretty significant piece of news from Friday with SoftBank with the 13F update there. 14.67 million share stake in RX. This is higher from that spot. So despite the pullback yesterday, we actually might be right back on here. RX. This is interesting.
Yeah, and JTAI, after coming in, it's trying to recapture the open.
Ivan here mentioning EA is reversing. That would be sweet. Remember, we just have a trailer on. This trade has already worked. This is basically just gravy. Pour the gravy on, Ivan. I'll take it.
And then let's see, TRNR. That one's still looking pretty good. I see that there's a pretty good amount of sellers at 205, and 210. That might prevent upside from happening. But if the volume keeps kicking up, then could beat those sellers up. JTAI, that one is having a hard time with 620.
That just is Black Sky here real quick. I know we talked about this yesterday. This now 20 prints. This actually has a pre-market double top that might get challenged here. BKSY. I'd watch volume through that level.
That is one of the space plays.
Yep. Bob Bacall's getting swept up here. Those are actually kind of small purchases there.
That is the best performing of the space plays right now. Behind it, you have ASTS and SPIR and Lunar. Oh, Redwire is also having a pretty decent day as well. Is anybody surprised? That thing always seems to have a pretty good day. Redwire is RWD.
HIMS, 63 prints. So look at this move here in HIMS. We had what looked like kind of a reversal blow off top candle, started to pull back. I guarantee that sucked in shorts. Bang! Now we're gonna crush them out on the press them out on the move up here. Wow. Big B's, big time shout out to you. You had HIMS. You said that was a buy here in this chat in a 42 handle. HIMS 21 points higher from Big B's call. Unreal. SMCI, are you guys trading this one here today?
Ooh, TRNR polling now, losing VWAP.
This SMCI looks like that's flirting with 60 here. Let me go to TRNR. Here's again. Sorry, I'm behind again here today.
Yes, sir. WIS, that's what it is. WIS also mentioning Reshaped Life Sciences. That's the RSLS. How's that looking?
Oh, and real quick, I had asked earlier regarding the discussion about Bill Ackman trying to buy Howard Hughes Holdings, ticker HHH. We had a poll earlier. Do you think Bill Ackman can be the next Warren Buffett? 41% of you said no. 35% of you said not sure, and only 22% of you said yes. So does not look like the HHH idea is a popular one amongst our group. Appreciate you voting in that poll. JTAI pushing away from its VWAP.
CYCU halted to the downside again.
Here's the trend in JTAI that we really want to break. I've got this trend line here. What, about 609? CYCU, you said?
Yeah.
Indeed. This actually looks like this is going to give up 4 here.
JTAI trying again for 620. If it can't get 620 here, I think it ends up going lower.
Here's the trend. This is what we're watching here on JTAI. STAI, by the way, that is pulling here a little bit. ONDS, more pull. I'll tell you what. I tweeted it out yesterday, folks. I know this is a long-term hold. I'm still in it for a long-term hold. Kudos to you folks that are doing a really good job trading this like just kind of around your core. I tweeted yesterday, there's no way to sugarcoat it. The price action in this stock is complete garbage right now. I'm as disappointed as you folks are. I have a long-term view on this, so I'm gonna wait through it. But man, oh man, this trend break this trend break yesterday was awful, and the stock again today extremely weak. Really going to need it to hold this longer-term trend that we have back from July of 2023. Still, the story here hasn't changed. The long-term story here hasn't changed. But man, oh man, I'd be lying if this chart didn't look like death right now. No bueno on that daily.
Smita Patel asking, any thought about Bitcoin? I've been thinking for some time now that this could end up going lower, maybe losing 91 or 90,000. It's still in the channel that I have where the price has been trending down since the year started, and we made that that high on January 20th. I feel like it's got some downside pressure on it right now, and this is the ultimate risk asset. So this is going to tell you if risk is on or off. And it looks to me like this is, trying to hold above, 93,000. But if we do start closing beneath 93,000, I think we end up going beneath 90,000 as well.
Yeah. To me, I know you're saying 93,000. The level in question for me is actually 92,000. Here's the chart that I'm kind of looking at for that. I agree. This looks, especially in the near term, this looks weak. I do think, and I'm actually going to extend this out while we're talking, I do think that this area that we had identified before, this is about 85K to 90K. I do think that this area would also act as some support. The other thing here, and I had been talking about this recently, I am looking to actually, and I'm going to say this, I'm looking to buy more Bitcoin. I'm looking to convert more fiat to Bitcoin. For the most part, I've just been sitting on appreciation and mining. Now it looks like after my first buy in 2015, whatever it was, I'm going to add some more, and I'm going to look to add to Bitcoin, Ethereum, SUI. I might even try some other altcoins if we pull back to this area. But I'm an adder. I'm going to add if we enter any of these support areas here. Just FYI.
All right, and it looks like we had unhalt into a halt for OSRH.
Real quick before I go to OSRH, look at the trend line on JTAI. Look how good that held up here. We really need to break that. That's going to change how we look at the stock. Here is your OSRH, another upside halt. You know what?
Really
I'm giving out register rings at this point. I'm giving out register rings because you folks were on this one. I know I'm not in this one, but you guys were really good stuff there.
I'd expect that there'll be a little bit of coming in when it unhalts next, but we'll have to wait and see, because sometimes we can get these to just continue to do these upside halts for a while. Like, I don't remember the name of which ticker it was, but last week we saw one do that. But I'd be a little bit more cautious out of this third halt here.
Was that MBRX? Was that the one that was halted like a billion times, 20 something times? No, that MBRX. No,
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm getting worse at this. I swear to God, I'm getting worse at remembering all these different tickers. It drives me absolutely insane.
The JTAI really does look like it wants to break that trend line. Like it's really, really wanting to, but more volume is needed. Looks like Litus.
It was MBRX. It was Thursday of last week, MBRX. I'm not crazy. No, nope. F that.
You right. All right. So JTEI still getting suppressed by that trend line. It could end up rolling over here. If it's not going to break that trend line, then traders are going to get tired of this thing.
I'm actually going to clean up some of these EMAs here. We're going to leave the 65 on for right now. There we go. We're coming back into VWAP here.
Yeah, and looks like SEDG is also looking pretty weak. I'd say if we lose that 2130, we're probably headed under 20.
This is not a great intraday formation. Lion here saying regarding the whole Bitcoin purchases, Lion mentioning Ripple, XRP. What's the bull case on that? Help me out. For those of you that are into Bitcoin, sell me on Ripple. Sell me on XRP. Why do I need to add Ripple to my crypto portfolio? Let me know. No wrong answers on that, by the way. INOD we did print above 60. This actually pulled back. Okay, so this is another kind of like an AI data guy that we had been trading for a while here. What a move. 13, are you just as pissed as I am that we missed like the big part of this move, like the secondary move? Because we traded this pretty well, but this last one here, this 30 to 50-ish move, wish I was in for that one.
Oh, I wish I was in for it too, but I don't know I'd be pissed about it because we had good trades on that one. And
Yeah.
we had no
That's
idea.
a good point. You're right. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, we had no idea that thing was going to run like it did.
Tesla. Speaking of running like it did, Tesla just 6 to midnight right now.
The CYCU continuing to halt down.
Did we get anything else here on Tesla?
Looks like SINT is trying to turn around after hitting the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Volume is really low, so I'm not really banking on a complete reversal here.
This area here, this 444 here, I'm actually going to mark some of these areas off too. Let's see. It's 444, top of this candle right here. That's an area. Bottom right in here. And one more. We'll see where SINT, if it finds some support, which level it finds it at. SPY is pulling. We kind of expected that, right? Market was looking a little weak here in the pre-market. We didn't really get any big move on this. Here is your SPY. New lows now. I would watch this against yesterday's lows. I started by saying this is definitely one of the key levels. Yesterday's intraday low.
We had very low volume yesterday.
Very low. I mean, it just...
Yeah, and a good portion of it came in at the end of the day to push it up into new all-time highs. So
yep.
I really liked your window dressing comment.
Yeah, to me, that's just what it felt like. And it especially felt like that right in the moment, right? And we were also, I actually had to confirm with you, I wasn't even sure we set a new all-time high right out of the open. It set it by 1 penny. The window dressing did it at the end there. Okay.
You know, I think Jonathan might have been right about OSRH. This thing could get up to its warrant exercise price. It was 1150, right?
Yeah. That was this and CYCU. They were both the same, right? At 1150, Jonathan confirmed that for me. I'm pretty sure that was it.
It looks like OSRH is trying to get up there, but it still has a ways to go. 995 is the pre-market high, but CYCU, on the other hand, this thing is just not, not come around yet. Maybe it does after it kind of gets down to maybe about the 350 to 325 area. Somewhere in there, it might find support, but I think there's better things that we could be trading.
Okay. Real quick, I was asking you guys to sell me on Ripple. Arden says you don't need to add Ripple. Ripple sucks. Okay. Nicole saying Ripple is faster, less energy, US based, and all of the banks have already adopted it. Now, that is interesting, Nicole. Appreciate that insight. I do like that angle there for the banks adopting it. That is interesting. Gary says that's correct. XRP all the way. Lion saying XRP has great use cases like Swift, but it's better and faster. So the banks started to adopt it. Okay, so you guys are basically all saying the same thing. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Carmen, fan of XRP. Okay.
OSRH pulled and is into a halt to the downside now. So those SPACs, they be SPACing. JTAI lost VWAP, halted to the downside as well. This thing probably headed under 5.
I'll tell you what, that trend line rejection. Yeah. I'm gonna call this the Mutombo trend line because that's exactly what it did here. New lows, halted at new lows. I think this probably comes in a little bit more. SMCI knifing, you guys are saying?
It's coming in. Approaching the
yesterday's closing price. This is pretty much where we're at here. I actually think it could bounce from here. 56. Let's just call it 56. Potential bounce spot. Not saying that it will, but it could. It's trying to break that and go through. We'll see here. Interesting too that this actually is exactly where it got pulled to earlier in the pre-market.
I do like support at 50.
TRNR new highs here. I actually think this might work off that VWAP if it comes into the VWAP.
Pre-market high for TRNR is 234.
Okay.
Looks like Solar Edge is coming back around.
I see people on Twitter trading OSRH. Okay. So that FinTwit is on that one. That's where some of that volume is coming from.
Just trying to look and see. There's a lot of red today. A lot of reds, a lot of halts.
All right, I got distracted there. Well, you know what that makes me wonder? How's Meta doing? We talked about that maybe reversing. Lion told me we needed confirmation of that. Meta down another 2% here. Let's take a look and see.
I don't really like the way that formation looks.
On what?
On Meta's 5-minute.
You mean for a short, or you think this is a bear flag? Well, help me out here.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, the pattern that it's making doesn't look the greatest. Now I understand that it's low RSI on this time frame, so you could see maybe a move back up to 706.60, but I don't think this is. I mean, I don't want to say I don't think, but I have doubts that this gets back up to the highs it was making, where it was like in the 730s. I don't think I don't want to say it's impossible, but I don't think we see that today.
Okay. I think maybe intraday here, maybe a short if this is rejected here at VWAP. And then Lion, just to kind of go back to what you were asking earlier, you said you wanted confirmation of this to roll over before you're interested in a short. What constitutes that for you? I've got it losing the 15 EMA here, or like let's say is hanging on for dear life right here. I'll tell you what, I think if we lose this and trade lower here, I think that probably does confirm it. I guess maybe we'd have to look for some other levels. Let's see what I have here. That's the Ondas chart. Yeah, so far, I guess we're trying to hold this 20. I'll tell you what, if we close beneath this 20 and that EMA that we were just looking at, I think that's probably confirmation for me. Let me know what confirms it for you. Lion. Go back to the main workspace. We'll look at some of these movers.
Yeah, this thing is just way too extended. But yeah, I like the 20-day SMA.
Okay. Broke its 20-day green streak in a row yesterday. Meta. All right, how's SMCI doing? Okay, so this did pull back. This did bounce off that 56. How about that? That pre-market level and yesterday's closing level acting as a bounce spot here so far in SMCI.
Still waiting for OSRH to unhalt after it halted to the downside. And don't know.
God, him 70. Are you kidding me with this move? Big of bees, dude. This might have been, so I know it's early. It's only February here. The miss of the year so far was not trading HIMs. We discussed it on this show pretty regularly. We actually had a thesis drawn out in happy hour. Opted not to take this one, and I'll tell you what, this is the biggest miss of the year so far.
And it was all on the confirmation of RFK. That's when it started taking off.
Yep. Look at this move on this daily. God, big beast, dude. Printing. CA Forsman, I sold HIMs in the 40s. So sad. Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
I am just trying to see if there's anything that's interesting enough to risk. Put a risk on.
My big problem here today, 13, is new setups. I don't see a lot of new stuff.
No, I don't either. And it's not really the greatest breadth for the market right now.
No, in fact, I'm looking at the breadth here. The only thing with positive breadth is the Qs. 1.18 to 1 in terms of the breadth there. S&P, Dow, Russell, and Nice, all negative. Dow leading the way down. I guess with only 30 stocks in there, maybe that's not the greatest measurement there.
It was geopolitical tensions could also affect the market as well. So I'm keeping my eyes open for headlines there. We can, we'll discuss more of that in happy hour, but I think that's going to start to weigh on markets as well at some point.
Okay. Sell H, by the way, Kevin, your sell H here, another leg up today, second leg up in the regular session here today. How's Tesla doing?
CYCU still going lower, almost down to the consolidating price action that it had yesterday, down at 315, 320, almost down to that area. That could be a demand zone. So watch for a reversal in CYCU down around 315 to 320.
Okay. Which tweet is this from Dietrich, producer? You probably sent this to me somewhere else, and I probably missed it because there was just a ton of shit going on. Let's see what we got here, producer. Oh, you know what? I can't.
BBAI was getting mentioned. I see what you're saying, that came down to 8. So that's one of the levels I was mentioning about that could provide support. Looks like it did earlier, even though it did print as low as 785. We continue to lose 8. My next area that I have for support is at 715.
There you go on BBA. I think this run kind of might be over. I know that there are a lot of people trading that one. Lion, if we close under 700 on Meta, that will confirm it, and I'll start a short position. Okay, and then producer, here was the Ryan Dietrich tweet that I guess I should have shared this earlier. 5 weeks ago, the S&P 5 weeks ago, Jesus. 5 years ago today, the S&P 500 peaked and fell 34% over the next 5 weeks. No one knew it at the time, but things were about to change in a big way. That was, of course, COVID. This was the quickest and most vicious bear market ever.
Yeah, it was really fast.
Yeah, it was.
But man, did it provide so many buying opportunities.
Yeah, it did. This was the greatest wealth transfer in the history of this country, was COVID. That is good stuff there, producer. Appreciate you. What else did I miss here? Carmen saying, anyone know anything about ZTS versus Zoetis? Yes, this was the old spinoff from Pfizer. They did pet medicine back in the day. My parents were Pfizer stockholders, and I believe opted to go with ZTS or split some of it when they spun that off. I don't know. I haven't tracked it recently, so I'm not sure what's going on now. I know it recently sold off here, right? And we're at this level here. I think probably come in a little bit more.
It's taking a staircase down over the past 2 quarters. Last quarter and this one.
Watching Vital Farms, shares move lower after Zoetis announces it received conditional license from the USDA for avian influenza vaccine for chickens.
Oh, so is that the answer to to curbing the egg shortage, is to vaccinate chickens?
I guess so. Would you eat those eggs or those chickens?
Well, we're already eating eggs that have crap in them already, unless they're organic. Hey, Mike.
That's pretty much what I have been buying for the last 10 years.
Jonathan, the short interest I have for AUUD is going to be 4.9% of the float shorted with 2.27 days to cover.
There you go. Aura, you were asking earlier about the link to Happy Hour. Happy Hour is for Benzinga Pro clients only, unfortunately. I do try, for those of you that are not interested in joining Benzinga Pro, or just it doesn't fit your thesis or it doesn't fit your investing parameters, I do try to bring some of that discussion and information here for us to discuss.
OSRH is open and is trading beneath the UAP now. It's trying to recapture it, though. Not sure about this one. JTAI, this one still looks like it could go under 5. Solar Edge, getting support at about 2080, but still looking like it could go lower. Let me see here.
Aura, sorry about that. Shoot me an email, man. It appears, the link appears every day, about 15 minutes prior at the bottom of your platform, but you can shoot me an email. I'll deliver the link for you. No problem at all.
OSRH getting a little bit of volume here, but could use a lot more. Still, it's trying to push up back to 8.
C-Spot saying people spend more money on their pets and children than they do on themselves. Facts. And that's definitely a positive for that ZTS trade thesis earlier.
Well, that makes me want to look at Chewy and see how that's doing. Because that's been having a pretty good time ever since.
Yeah, it sure has.
Ever since Roaring Kitty did the pop and drop.
Looks like we kind of made this double top here around 39. Looks like it actually tested 40 and backed off. I think it'd be interesting to see where this settles. I think this does move through 40 eventually.
You see that trend off the bottom? That trend
this right here?
Yeah. That's gonna. I think when we're gonna come down and test that again, we're gonna want to watch to see if it loses that. Then I would probably turn bearish on it because that trend line, it's been pretty consistently keeping the price up.
Yeah, indeed it has. Here is that trend, by the way. You guys, Lion, you were saying earlier, the market is weak. You don't see any good setups. Indeed, actually,
Yeah.
Market here at the lows. This is rolling over. NASDAQ leading the way down here. A Big B, same thing. So yeah, it definitely seems like there is some weakness out there. An orderly move down here. And again, we're still one of the levels that I had you here. Let me actually just bring it up on the chart instead of looking at the chart that's off the screen. That doesn't make much sense. One of the areas that I'm curious, what do we do here right around these lows, right? Yesterday's intraday lows. We take a look at the daily chart here. I think you had me mark this one off, right? 610.30. Pretty sure. And then I have this other wedge in here, this little trend line that we drew.
Yeah, to Big B's point, it does feel like we could push lower in pretty short order here. So just make sure you folks are protecting yourself. You got your stops where they need to be. Some of these could end up just falling out if the broader market comes in.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Captain Obvious. Yeah, I also a huge Chewy customer. Absolutely love it. Yassine, hopefully you're staying warm here in Chicago. MBIS. This is coming in a little bit. This has had actually a really awesome run here. I'd be curious to know what level you like MBIS at if this comes back in. Kind of waiting for 38.40, but I'm not even sure we get that.
Well, I mean, I do like on the technical side, you got that rejection of the 200-day SMA.
Yeah, sorry, I have that on a different chart. Let me pull that up here. I got to figure something out here. I'm doing way too much switching. It's taking me way too much time. Here is exactly what you're talking about, though, 13.
Yeah. I would want to see some support around, 39.20. I think that would be a pretty interesting spot to see it get some support. Not too far away from the 20-day SMA. That was a support level prior to the company going off the exchange. So, and that's been a resistance level as well on its way back up. So
that former Russian company.
Yep. So that's what I would want to see there is if we do come down that 39.20 level, hold the price up.
Okay.
Looks like Solar Edge is trying to make another run for VWAP, but the volume is not where it needs to be. So I'm not sure it's going to take that. Watch for volume expansion on Solar Edge in order for it to go higher.
I'm seeing a bunch of calls getting bought into this pull in NVIDIA. NVIDIA new lows here now. And as it's doing this, I'm seeing calls getting bought. Not an insignificant amount either. Some pretty big orders, it looks like. 145, 125, 145, 138, all of those strikes here. More NVIDIA calls. into this pull. Let me bring up Solar Edge here real quick, see if we do get that expanding volume set up. Expanding volume set. This actually, we're just talking about how we don't see a whole lot of really good setups. This one of the better ones if this does get that expanding volume through this area.
I'm just going to catch up with the chat saying. All right.
Here we go, Solar Edge.
Yep.
Now, I'm actually going to, you know what? I'm going to put this in my broker. Let's see if we get a move through here. Got that VWAP 2171.
I'm moving OSRH up to 899. Trying to break 9. There we go.
New highs in OSRH. Congrats to anyone that was in this one. Sorry, I'm not trading this one here today.
Looks like it wants 995.
Morning, Jay Rice. Good to see you.
Hey, Jay Rice.
Lion, you following some of those calls in? Okay.
This OSRH.
If you traded this one, 13, good job on OSRH, man.
Been in and out of it. I haven't been holding it to the halts.
No, I haven't even touched it. But your Solar Edge setup, that's still happening here. God, I wish I sold Eat It too earlier.
It needs to get above VWAP. We need to see that break over VWAP in that one.
That'll confirm it. APPN. I guess that's really trying. I don't see anything there setup wise. SINT, I don't like this either. Jay Wild Mullen is looking great. My God.
That's never going to not be funny, is it?
It's never going to not be funny. I mean, can anyone else get shorts on this? Jay, I know you said you shorted this several reverse splits ago. You probably will never have to cover this up, which is pretty cool. Can you even get new shorts on this? Wild stuff here on Mullen. Glad we're staying away from that.
Well, there goes OSRH a little bit more.
Special place in hell, Mike. Special place in hell for those folks that adopt animals and then abandon them. Special place in hell for those people.
Look, it's already a bearish morning. Do you want to make me upset?
No.
Okay.
I'm just reading his comment. I don't want to do that either. Shit makes me super sad.
Yeah. All right. Oh, man, look at this thing. OSRH. This is going to 995. Now, whether or not we break out and get to 1150 where those warrants are, that's still possible. But the first step is that pre-market high. At 995, interestingly, right about where the SPAC price usually is at $10. And if you're wondering what a SPAC price is, SPAC is, that's a special acquisition company. It's another way that companies come into the market. You usually have the traditional IPOs. Another way is there'll be a company. It's called a blank check company, and they will raise capital and go on the exchange, and then merge with the company that wants to be on the exchange, and then they end up selling off. Let's just say that.
That's the de-spacking that we're talking about. Jesse, take care of yourself, man. Let me know how that Pixel watch is treating you. Do you like it? Do you have a formal review on it? Do you have enough time to give a formal review? Curious. By the way, just to I cleared this up with the happy hour group yesterday, but just to clear it up with the group here, last week we took nibbled on some hood calls here to try and hit the floating island. This was completely rejected yesterday. This was one of the nastier candles that was around yesterday. Just a nasty reversal here in hood. We're out of that.
OSRH is getting really volatile right now. A little too volatile for me to want to try and trade it, but man, what a move.
FTAI still printing. Sure is, man. Oh man, that Big of Bees. I'm still sour about this. I just simply picked the wrong expiry and just threw money away. Just sucks.
It looks like Reshape Life Sciences doing what I've seen it do a lot of times. This used to be a different company as well, I believe. I think they may have. I'd have to go and check that, but I think this used to be a different company as well. Looks like Litus is trying to push back up to VWAP.
There. Nasty shit out there. This has not been a good week. What were you saying about LYT?
It's trying to push back up to VWAP, but it's a penny stock. I don't know.
Yeah, good luck if you get above 42 there.
All right, and here comes 995 and OSRH. We're almost there.
AIFF trying for a red-green move here. Sell H, more highs here. Kevin, God, you were on that one early. What happened here? It's got to be before earnings. Maybe somebody knows something. We'll watch that one.
No, WIS. This was like years ago. It used to be something else, a different company, and I think it was acquired and became Reshape Life Sciences. But this was like years ago. OSRH pulling a little bit here after hitting a high of 983.
Emily here asking, out of curiosity, anyone end up shorting Meta? I want to see what it does with this 20-day here, right? So it did break 700. I think, Lion, weren't you saying if it closed below 700, you were looking to short? Let me know. I don't want to misspeak for you. Let me know.
Well, we can look at some other stocks since it seems like a lot of these movers just.
Yeah, I got no trading setups here.
Folks, is there something you'd like us to take a look at? Looks like BBAI is continuing to print lower.
I don't trust any of these.
Get a lot of sideways action in SINT.
Bharat, yes, short on Meta. Okay, there we go. Michael saying CELH announces earnings and people are buying, hoping the company beats. I mean, that's kind of why I was asking, like, what's going on here? What am I missing?
Oh, they approved another merger? Jeez.
Nicholas saying short sale restriction on what? Which company? Sparsy Marcy mentioning OKLO. Those nuke names, are they reversing? If those were on some really, really good moves.
Jonathan, I don't see any level 2 orders on my price ladder for 1150 and OSRH. It may just be the way that my broker's allowing me to see. I mean, usually I can see orders pretty high up. I see orders at 1190. Well, they just went away. It looks like a lot of sell orders are starting to disappear above 10, but I don't want to draw any conclusions off that. Oh, is GTAI moving again? Oh, kind of is. At least maybe it moves back up to VWAP, but that would be right about where the trend line is again. So, okay, you got it right there. Your trend line's a little bit higher, but not too far away. So kind of the same deal. I think, with your chart, Ryan, if the price gets back up to VWAP, that's going to be just a little bit of a move over the trend line, but
yep,
it could easily get rejected there as well.
Has not been able to do that. Chris, short Moderna here, mRNA. Moderna, what, intraday triple top here? Is that the short thesis here, Chris? Yesterday's intraday high. So what is this news with Moderna? Deep Track Capital nominates 4 highly qualified candidates for election for Dynamax Technologies. What does this have to do with Moderna?
You know what, Jonathan? I think I agree with you on the reverse split for BHAT. Float's pretty massive. It's under $1, and they've received delisting notices. That's right in the theme of a that reverse split thing that we were talking about. So, in the recompliance theme. So, I see your point. Have they announced any reverse splits? I'm not seeing that they have. See that they have been doing offerings, though. There was an offering back in January. 2 of them, actually. I agree. They need to do a reverse split because this thing won't trade very well, and it could get delisted.
RSLS maybe back towards the VWAP. I don't trust that. JTAI running into the trend line. See what happens here on JTAI.
Yeah.
David saying, I think Meta short might be confirmed. Lion saying, Ryan, before the close, if Meta is still under 100, I will initiate a short position. So there you go, David. Lion confirming that 2 seconds after you're mentioning that. I wouldn't be shocked if this bounced off the 20. Would love to see a close beneath that, though. Tesla actually did take another leg higher, it looks like. Oh, NDS getting slapped. Ugh. Yuck.
Looks like SINT is about to go lower. It's putting a lot of pressure on the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Hasn't been able to bounce off that, even though it has been a bounce, a support area in the pre-market. The more it hangs out here, the less confidence I have that it's going to reverse. So it looks like this could end up breaking down here if it cannot get back up to VWAP and over it.
David here, love this on the Sell H earlier. This is up 12% here. Sell H announced earnings for tomorrow, which is earlier than expected. Live presentation the next day. So people are speculating they did earnings so they can talk about things at the presentation. As a result, stocks up 12.3% here today. Sell H. 2641, the next level of importance in my eyes here. That's going to be your 50-day moving average. I wonder if we can close above that. Appreciate this, David. Sell H was a fast money pick last night. Interesting. Okay, so you're saying, and you're Nicole, you're saying SSR is not short sale restriction. You're saying this is a stock, SSR? Sorry, I'm not sure what you are talking about. That is not a stock, my man.
SSR?
Yeah, Soulgate ADR. I don't have anything. I have no clue what you're talking about. Anyway.
Let's see. Yeah, looks like BBAI might make the next move lower here. Current low of the day is 774. Still waiting for that move over the trend line in JTAI, which is right where I have my VWAP.
Eat it 2 prints coming here.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. Told the CEO to mention AI. They got AI flavors. OSRH. There it is. $10.
Man. God, can we start this week over? Rough week for me. Sorry, folks. I feel bad.
This will get turned around. We will have better days.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not holding up my end of the bargain here.
TRNR losing looks like it's trying to lose the 65 EMA. Also trying to get support, but Reshape Life Sciences just recaptured its VWAP. So you win lower.
This is the stock that you were talking about, SSRM. SSRM. It actually is doing pretty well here. It looks like they just reported earnings yesterday.
Got a price target raise, yeah.
And price target raise. Okay, glad we got to the bottom of that.
And this is a actual miner, not like a Bitcoin miner, but an actual miner. Looks like BBAI is about to put in new lows.
Chipotle week here today.
JTAI continuing to get rejected at that trend line.
The Mutombo trend line, dude. That's it.
For CRISP?
Yes, that's CRSP. That's CRISPR. That's what all the gene editors are moving on.
So that's up. So he was looking for lump twos.
Jay, you were asking earlier a question here. I feel like you're trying to trick people. I don't know what you're. Let's see. Cocoa or CellH? Which chart looks better? Here's Vita Cocoa. I would say that this definitely looks better than CellH.
You know, CRSP doesn't seem like it really has a whole lot of. It's moving up, but on what seems to be kind of low volume. I see that there is a big seller at 55.75 right now. So you might see some. Oh, and what do you know? We hit a high of 55.73. So got to take that seller out, and you can go higher. Yeah, TRNR lower, Solar Edge trying to hang on. Actually,
Him's trying to retake 70.
SINT has not broken down. It's a matter of fact, it's trying to turn around.
Barat saying, for me, the first 2 weeks of February were horrible. It's just been, it's not been good. It's not been good. And it's some of the stuff that I'm holding long term. It's not doing well. And Hans, that hood reversal, God, that was so nasty. That was so nasty. But that's part of it. That's how it goes.
Well, Reshape Life Sciences draw a trend line, and if it's going to move up here, it's got to break this trend line. Now, it could. I would say maybe 175 would be about where it would have to break that trend line. If you want to, you got to start in the pre-market, but well, yours looks a little bit different than mine. But yeah, maybe do that. Yeah. So your breakout might be a little bit lower than mine.
Yeah, Ryan, the seasonality, Ryan's asking, February, March are historically bad months. Yeah, we start to get into really poor seasonality midway through February, which is right where we're at. And we're definitely starting to see that. I mean, I know the market looked like the buy the dippers came in at the last 10 minutes of the market there, but more weakness here today, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to see if we would take out yesterday's intraday lows today. Haven't done that yet. This seasonality, this poor seasonality lasts into March. So near the midway point through March, or maybe even 2/3 of the way through the month.
And bad news is going to be bad for the market.
Yeah.
Whereas earlier, bad news didn't matter.
Yep.
The market just kept going higher.
That's right.
Amazing
That's
how
right.
the OSRH just hits the SPAC price and says, that's good. Now it's halted to the downside, losing VWAP.
So how about this? Tesla, off that huge run, pulled back to the VWAP. This actually might go higher here on Tesla. Jonathan saying UK inflation went from 2.5 to 3.
Ooh. All right, JTAI. It's still trying to hammer that trend line.
I actually have this above my trend line now. There we go.
It's coming up to VWAP.
I guess if I adjusted this, it would be different, but I had this right in here. JTAI going now right through that 570. Here's the volume that we needed here. Really good timing on this one.
Yep, MACD starting to curl. If we can start closing these 5-minute candles over the VWAP, I think this may have more room to go. Where do we think the quantum stocks are heading? Let me look here, because I have a certain theory about what's going to happen. I know that there's been a lot of talk about how we're still a decade or more out from realizing quantum computing, and I don't think that that's going to be the case. There's a lot of other companies that are saying it's going to be sooner than that. I'm on the sooner than later side, because you got to think, how long ago was it when we were talking about AI still being decades away, and now it's here?
When Watson was around, when Watson was popular.
Well, the point is that we've been talking about it for a long time and thinking that it's still a ways away, and then the next thing you know, that's what this whole market's trading on. So the point I'm making is that quantum is probably a lot closer than a lot of these expectations for a decade or two out are. I would still say that maybe it's a matter of years, like maybe 5 or 6 years, but I don't know about 10 to 20.
So I would say that when those Watson commercials were making the rounds, that was probably between 2010, 2015. Here we are at 2025. So I would say at least 10 years. But it was at least a decade.
The whole AI craze started back in 2023, and it really ramped up in 2024.
Yeah. So maybe a decade, I would say, because again, some of those Watson commercials got played for a number of years.
So to answer your question, I still think that there could be continued weakness in these quantum names.
Me too.
But there's going to be a point, and I don't think it's going to be that far out, where these will end up being, really spicy again, like we got toward the end of last year.
There might be multiple runs in some of these names. Sure. I agree. I think the next move here is down. Let's put it this way. We're currently at 1027 on Rigetti. I bet we see 6 before we see 15.
JTAI just had a back test of my VWAP, and now it's trying to push higher. Pre-market high in JTAI 649. Could see it.
This was actually a pretty good. I know I was complaining about setups here, but this one was actually not bad. This trend break here that we had identified from the pre-market, this was not bad.
One of the few that has worked today. Absolutely.
Jeremy's asking for thoughts on RX. Given that a few times here. Interested in this. Traded this last week. Didn't really do a great job on this. Probably should have held this for a swing instead of just day trading it. I think the big catalyst that's moving it here, I know we had a PR here today, but I think the big catalyst came from the 13F update last week. SoftBank taking a stake in this, 20.45 million shares in this. Now the PR here this morning, Altitude Lab launches a pre-seed venture fund anchored by Recursion CEO Chris Gibson. So stock's up 10% here today, but I got to think that this is more off the SoftBank take. And eat it. Oh my God, eat it spiking here. I sold this one too early too.
Yeah, RX also has a pretty good amount of short interest, but that's been going lower and lower as the new short reports come out. So that short squeeze window is apparently closing. The OSRH question that we just had was, is this a drone company? And I don't know exactly what this does.
No, we mentioned earlier, because of the SPAC here, we actually don't have any information on what that is.
Yeah, the company
what it actually is.
It was let me see here. maybe it's in the filing that tells us what it is, but it's I think it might have to do with South Korea. It's a company in South Korea. Let me see if I can. It's a healthcare company.
Bitcoin with a pretty nice bounce. I know we talked about the SPY bouncing here. Bitcoin also bouncing.
It is a healthcare. OSRH is a healthcare company in Korea that does neurovascular intervention, medical device and systems, biologics for age-related and other degenerative diseases, and oral immunotherapies for the treatment of cancer. So it's got its hands in several things, but it's a medical company at its core.
So let's look. Steve, you're asking why the spike here. Let's go through some of the headlines. Trump would like to strike a wide-ranging deal with China's Xi, one that goes beyond just reworking the trade relationship. Okay. Trump has expressed interest in a deal that would include substantial investments and commitments from China to buy more American products. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to get that, though.
I doubt it.
Yep.
And even if they do agree to something, they're not going to follow through.
Yeah, that's
how they are.
That's the other aspect. You might get some agreement on the surface, but what kind of water does that hold? Trump would like an agreement with China to also include issues like nuclear weapons security. I don't know if this is what's popping us, but that's all I see out there in terms of these big headlines.
Oh gosh, you can't trust G.
Sorry, I'm just reading you guys the headlines as I see them come across. Izzy saying, sick day, Ryan, no trades for me. Izzy, that's all right, man. You kill it every day that you're here. Hopefully you feel better. Hopefully you pull a 13 here and heal up overnight.
Drink lots of water.
Fluids, baby. And then, yeah, you guys are also mentioning Nikola. I guess we could have talked about this. We've talked about how fraudy this company is for a long time. I don't think anyone's surprised here. Nikola shares trading lower after the company announced comprehensive voluntary Chapter 11 sale process. I joked earlier, time for this thing to bounce 100%. It obviously didn't do that.
Yeah, really, really loves to smooth it over with all the wordy, we're going bankrupt language there. Still has a pretty high short interest, so you could see a squeeze. Turnaround hopes are destroyed. What a headline. Oh, yeah, of course. Nikola CEO in jail for a 4-year sentence. I mean, he should have got longer, but,
Look at JTAI. Is this halted? JTAI halted to the upside?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep.
Broke the pre-market high, and it's halted now.
Halted to the upside now. JTAI. Boy, I tell you what, that trend. This is actually a really good visual lesson in being patient here. We're kind of struggling this morning with setups. I'm pretty happy that I didn't donate more to the day trading fund by just trading crappy setups. But this is really the entire thing that we look for on a regular basis here. We had a nice little range carved out by the initial impulse move. We pulled back to previous price level where this thing kind of found some support at in the pre-market. We actually took out the trend line that we had identified, and now we're getting that expanding volume into the highs. So JTAI, grats to whoever had this one, whoever stayed patient on this one. This is how you do it. Sideshow T finally caught a big runner. Patience. One up to
Nice.
you. If I can't do it, I'm so glad that you are. Robert, I sold into that halt. Robert, great stuff there. One up to you as well. Chewbacca loves all of this, by the way.
OSRH, this thing looks like it's going to go lower. MACD's rolling over. This thing is losing VWAP. Earliest support that I see is going to be, 740, and then you got 685. Might get bounces there. I'm not touching this one.
Done for the day here on this one?
Done for the day on that one. And let's see here. What else do we have? I thought I saw another one that was looking interesting. BBAI might turn around. Might. And That's about all I really see that looks good at the moment.
How's Palantir doing, Hans?
Yeah. Hans mentioned Palantir. Good old Palantir.
So this coming in a little bit from its highs, but nothing really notable there.
It is looking very extended, though. Very, very extended. I wouldn't be surprised if this started to come in too. This just gone on a huge run, and the RSI is it's been in the 70s for a while, and it's even touched the 80s. I feel like this thing does need to come in at some point. It seems like that could be pretty soon.
Serve, this is a pretty nice move on volume here. I don't even think we really took a look at Serve here today. Again, I apologize to the group here. I am not as sharp as I normally am. So really good stuff here by the group. Sorry that I'm slow on some of these things. Serve Robotics shares trading higher after the company announced the launch of its service in the Miami metro area. Additionally, the company announced the expansion of its partnership with Shake Shack and a new partnership with Mr. 01 Extraordinary Pizza. Serve at the highs here. I've never heard of that pizza place.
All right. Tesla levels. Well, that sounds like fun. Let's see what I got for you, because I'm not trading anything right now because this market's a little bit concerning. So I like the 20-day SMA, which I have at 377.90. That could be a resistance area. Just above that is also a trend line. This is the downtrend that we're in right now. So you draw a line from Wednesday, December 18th, draw it through the January 17th high, which you can also draw through the 31st of January, and you just keep that line going, and that is the trend to break. We go up there, I think we're either going to face another rejection like we've had this entire time with this downtrend, or it's going to break out. And if it does break out, then you have the 50 right above it. That could provide some resistance as well. So if it breaks this trend line, 400 next resistance area. Otherwise, I think we're just going to see another rejection of that at that trend line and trade back down.
Here you go. Here's your visual aid for it. Have that trend line on here for a while.
It's the WMT earnings that's got you distracted, Ryan.
What? No. Nothing's got me distracted. I'm pissed. It's been a rough couple of weeks for me, and I'm pissed I'm not doing a good job.
I'm just saying what Christoph was asking.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, I missed it. Let me get rid of the troll.
AUUD getting mentioned. That's actually pushing up here some more. That was the one that was brought up earlier.
JTAI is open now, pushing higher. Looks like it's trying to take 7 out right here. There's your 7 test right now, JTAI. Looks like it stopped right at 7. I did, yep, and above. 715 was your high there.
Looks like 763 could be the next resistance area for JTAI. That's the 65 EMA on the daily.
Why are we both 13? Because
internet issues.
Because my internet dropped. There you go. Fixed.
Yeah, so I would I'd be targeting I'd be looking at that 763 that 65 EMA level on the daily. That's the next potential resistance area that I think we could get to.
This looking like this is going to take 7 out again here. This actually might have some more juice through 7 this time. Backed off that spot so far.
Now, what we don't want to see is a doji, because if that halts up here and then opens lower, gaps down, then that's a pretty bearish pattern. That could lead to losing VWAP and all kinds of breakdown that we don't want to see if we're trying to look more upside. OSRH lower. What's interesting is how SINTs has kind of been sideways this whole time. I feel like if it continues to go sideways and doesn't break down, watch for a VWAP break. The thing is that if you do get a move up over VWAP, you have a whole bunch of pre-market consolidation that's basically a supply zone to deal with. and that's going to be from about 495 to 530. Five-minute, JJ. And I'm only saying that if that's what we end up getting, because in JTAI, that's oof, that was a nasty pull there. That's what I was waiting for, to see if we were going to get a downside halt, kind of like this one. So no more doji there, but this is halted to the downside now, right back beneath the 655 high that we made. So the next step for this one will be a VWAP test, and I don't have the greatest of confidence that it's going to hold up. Could, but I don't have the confidence. Reshape Life Sciences, lower again. Excuse me. Yeah, not really seeing a whole lot I can really speak on right now. TEM is ripping. And says RX, and NBIS says baby. At least I'm assuming that's how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Well,
Carvana is going to be a trade of the year, Ryan. What direction, Lion? What do you mean there? What do you mean on that?
wow, this thing just broke the major trend line that it's been putting in for the past almost 4 years. Carvana. All you got to do is just look at August of 2021, that high there. You take that, you draw it through the high of November, and just keep going. You see that we have broken that trend. Where
Wait,
does this go
say
next?
that again. God damn it, man. What were the dates for the trend line?
Well, your chart doesn't have the 2021 there. I don't know why it's not showing the.
Okay, can't do it then.
Yeah, but it's the important takeaway is that we've broken a trend line, and if we're looking for upside targets for this, 322 looks interesting. The all-time high, of course, is going to be the August high from 2021. That is 375.30. No, I'm sorry, 376.83. Up in there. I'm going to short he's line out. This is going to short the hell out of Carvana, which would be great because that one of the things that some of these breakouts tend to do, and you saw it in JTAI, is come close to back testing or even actually back test the trend line as support. AMD wants to go higher. There's been a lot of news with AMD and Intel and Broadcom and that whole chip spinoff and fabrication. This is a lot of different news happening in the chip sector, but let's look at AMD here. What do we got? I want to see it come back up to the 50-day SMA. That's at 120.82. But it does look like it's trying to turn around. I can see that.
Would you like it a little bit more if it does close above this 20 here today?
Yeah. I want to see multiple closes above the 20, but yeah.
I don't blame you.
Okay, well. Got anything coming up after this?
Yes, we have Story Trading coming up, boys from Story Trading. They've been doing a really good job recently. Stick around for that. And then Futures Fever after that. We actually have a full lineup here this morning.
Hopefully those folks will be able to find better trades than we have been able to find.
Yeah, I like I said, I apologize to the group. I have really struggled these first 2 days of the week here. And it didn't
SINT
do all that great last week either.
is it just tried to push over VWAP, and it did print above it but got rejected. I don't know if that's going to be it for SINT, but it is starting to curl a little bit. So maybe keep an eye on what SINT does.
GRAL, more up move today. Yesterday really kind of pulled back, but it kind of needed that.
Gary Frost saying IBRX moving on news. That news is that the company, the FDA authorizes Immunity Bio to provide RBCG to urologists amid shortages. And that's for bladder cancer patients.
$30 price target. D. Boral Capital.
Wow.
By the way, JTAI is open, holding here at about 6:30. JTAI.
We're going to want to see a hold of VWAP. VWAP I have at 587.
I've got it at 579.
All right, looks like SINT trying to make another push at VWAP.
Miko here is saying, does anyone else have problems with Robinhood selling way lower than when you click the sell button? It depends what kind of order you. I don't have Robinhood, so I guess I'm not even a good person to answer this to begin with. But are you doing a market or a limit?
Yeah, if you're doing a market, then you are not going to get the price where you thought you clicked the button at. You have to do limit orders for that, because the market will just put you in line to take the next order of the seller that's out there. So.
And if it's a fast moving stock, that slippage could be significant.
Yeah. So you're not going to get the exact fill where you want if you do market orders.
SSRM, that mentioned from earlier, this up near the highs. This has almost traded its average volume so far.
Thanks, hustle and bustle. Sell those homes.
Good luck selling those homes.
OSRH, trying to push back above VWAP, or trying to get to VWAP. JTAI, looks like we almost got that VWAP test. It's got to hold above that, or else we're going to back test that trend line again. OSRH, we just mentioned that one. SINT, also looking for VWAP. That's really all that's looking interesting. Maybe really Reshape Life Sciences is making a move over VWAP. Maybe that gets going here again, but it's been making lower highs every time it's pushed over VWAP. So I'm wondering if we continue to see that happen, where if the next move over VWAP results in another red candle after hitting let's see here. What does it go to? This would be about 160. So if we get a big move in Reshape Life Sciences, 160 might be the price it goes up to. I'm not sure what's going to happen once it gets there. Could break over that. Could reverse and go back down underneath VWAP. Volume
Glenn saying, Ryan, I never hear the Ichimoku clouds mentioned. I'll be honest with you, man. I tried to use that years ago, and I never really had much success with it. Give me some document to read on it, and I'll see if I can start kind of watching some of that. I know there are a number of people that swear by the Ichimoku cloud. I've never got it to work for me. But I'm open to that. Glenn, shoot me an email if you don't mind. Lion saying, guys, have a great day. Take care of yourself, Lion. Ryan, don't fight it. Tomorrow will be a better day. No question about it. I've kind of backed off here today. Not a good day. Been a series of them. We're gonna fight through it. We're gonna not make my problems worse. That's for sure.
Take care, Lord. Okay. Well, I think I'll just we want me to start kind of wrapping up here with my final thoughts on what looks good. And
I mean, I feel like it'll only take you 10 seconds to do that. There's not a whole lot that looks good here today.
You're right. All right, SINT. There's that move over VWAP. It's got a big seller at 497 that it's got to get through here. It looks like it's chonking at it.
I've got the VWAP right here at 498.
And here's the other thing: we're gonna get into that consolidation zone from the pre-market. So that's going to be from right about where it's at now, and as high as 530, 520 to 530. So we could see some more selling pressure in that range there. And then what else? OSRH, yeah, almost got the VWAP rejected. Now it's going lower.
By the way, 13, I don't know if you've watched this. The SPY here has, after that push that we got, that little pop that we got, it has done a really good job holding above this 610.30 line that we added here. So that's notable. That is definitely a support area. I know we lost that earlier. JTAI maybe curling. For those of you still looking for to trade this name here, right at the VWAP.
Yeah, so that previous all-time high, 610 and 78 cents, that seems to have been kind of the big resistance area this morning. We would need to see a break over that before we could get new all-time highs. SIMT ripping. It ripped right through that consolidation area, and now it's going to hold.
Goodness. All right, good stuff there for you SINT traders.
Yeah, so 625 next level I have. It just got to 611, so if it gets up to 625, great. After that, and I don't know that it'll get up here, 785 would be the next upside target I have for SINT. But this might be about all we're going to get. OSRH, that's halted to the downside now, so that could be over for the time being. Some of these do have a tendency to maybe come back, but in this market breadth, I wouldn't hold it.
That was Daniel. Sorry,
no, go ahead,
Daniel. That was a good call there. I know you had said that this was ready to rocket, and that was literally right before this happened. Really well timed there. Really well timed there.
And Reshape Life Sciences, right to that, almost to that 160 area. I think it almost hit it, and it turned around. Same thing. SPY really pulling right now too.
Yeah, so we lost that 610.30. I still think we want to watch yesterday's intraday lows there on the SPY, especially if this pullback keeps happening. NASDAQ pulling too, the entire market. You guys that were saying be careful earlier, that was good. That was a good mention.
Previous all-time highs where we could see support in the SPY, we already got one this morning. That's 609.75. That helped with the reversal earlier. But if we lose that level, the one beneath it is going to be 609 and 7 cents. SINT trying to hang out and push higher, but those upper shadows not looking great. That's the wicks on the top of the candle. Go ahead.
Triple H here, Howard Hughes. We talked about this with the Bill Ackman piece of news this morning. This down 6.5% here. Still interested in this. Still think that this is a pretty interesting idea.
If Reshape Life Sciences can hold VWAP, there's still a chance that it could push through that trend that I was talking about. So watch for RSLS to hold VWAP. If it does, you might have another trade here.
See anything interesting on this list? God.
JTAI also holding VWAP.
Trying to curl.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably be done. Just because I think we did pretty good with some of the setups and the trades that we did, but if this overall market's going to be weak like today, then the moves might not have the follow through that we're looking for, or they might get the moves might get cut short, and I don't want anybody getting trapped in that. So I think I might just hold off at least until after the lunch hour, but for now I don't think there's really anything worth getting into at the moment.
Okay.
R Alpha, well done on your Intel trade. That's been a great one lately.
Mark, I can't believe it. This never happens to me. Keep at it, man. Eventually you'll hook some of those. Really good stuff here today.
Take care, Tom. Thanks for coming around, hanging out with us.
Take care, Tom. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, JTAI trying to push up there, but the volume is going to tell the whole story with these now, and I don't think we're getting enough volume in a lot of these. Reshape still hanging out above VWAP, but the volume is almost non-existent. It just keeps dwindling. Looks like Soundhound got some support at 1128. That's trying to go back up to VWAP.
All right, you want to start wrapping up here, 13? We'll get over to the story trading boys, see how they're doing here today.
Yeah, let's see if they've having a better day than we are. Folks,
sounded like you had a good one. I was the one that was really struggling today, it seems.
It wasn't bad. I didn't have JTAI into that really big move, but I did trade a little bit of it. But hey, I'll take what I can get, especially when the market's looking the way it is. Don't force anything, folks. If things aren't looking like they're going to work out, make good decisions. So you can come back with us tomorrow and trade some more. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care, 13. S&P futures down 0.2 here. It's 13 departs. We'll see him at happy hour, and we'll see him tomorrow. That leaves room for Ben from Story Trading. Let's bring him on. Ben, how you doing today, man? My man.
Good, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Not a great day market-wise for me here, but I'm alive, and we did some working out this morning, so we're doing pretty good. What do you got coming up for us?
Yeah, I hear on days like that, the focus should shift to capital preservation. So you live another day, right?
Absolutely.
So it's been a little choppier and a little bit tougher for me in the last several days. I managed, you won't believe this, but I managed to eke out another green day yesterday, which means I've not had a red day in the entire month of February, which is crazy. Coming into today up 120% year to date, but today that streak might end. I thought the streak was going to end yesterday, to be honest with you, because it was tough yesterday.
Yeah.
And then we pulled out True Golf out of the hat in after hours, which helped us go in the green. But today, another tough day, battling. I'm sure I'm not even looking at my account value yet. I'm sure I'm down. We got a couple green shoots. We got a couple of our stocks doing well, but it's definitely been choppy, and it's definitely been a little bit harder here in the last several days.
Yeah, no question. And I'll tell you, I don't know how, it sounds like you've been doing really well. January was fantastic for me. So was December of last year. So a little bit of a hiccup here. Really good advice there, though. Let me go ahead and bring on Godfather. Do we have Rhett today?
No, just Godfather and I today.
All right, I'll get out of your hair. Have a good one, boys. I'll see you in a little bit.
All right, sounds good. Good morning, Godfather. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. Doing all right. How about you?
All right, doing okay. As I said, a little bit choppier, a little bit harder, but we got some green shoots here. I'll go through the stocks that were top of our list this morning, and then I'll pass it over to you. So this morning, the number one pick of the day in our Discord was Celsius. CELH had really high conviction on this. The crazy thing is, we picked up Celsius on the afternoon of February 13th here with some call options too. But I bailed on it the next day. You see the next candle, it popped up in the morning, and then it turned from green to red. I managed to make a small profit, and it didn't quite hit the target at the 20 DMA. But then last night, there was a catalyst that came out. Celsius pulled earnings forward to tomorrow afternoon. Surprisingly, the street was not expecting that. And they're doing it right before a conference on Friday morning. So naturally, when that happens, there's a lot of speculation of good news. So we jumped back into this late last night, this morning on Celsius. So green trade on Celsius with an ultimate high target of 26, all the way to possibly to 26.40 by tomorrow afternoon. We hit 25.96. So that's been a positive trade here on Celsius. Obviously, it's been beaten down forever, and any sniff of any potential good news can cause a short covering. So that was an easy setup, easy trade, our number one pick of the day, highest conviction of the day. But some other things been a little bit harder. True Golf, which we've talked about on the show here earlier in the past, pre-announced earnings yesterday. And you can see since the pre-announcement, we're up, right? So that's good. But me executing on this, maybe not as good. I managed to sell some at 70 cents, but then I bought back at 62 cents, I believe, and now we're at 51 cents. So I'm pretty sure I'm still up overall since yesterday, but gave back some of my gains. So TRUG, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Godfather, on this, but they pre-announced earnings, and it looks like it's 69% higher at the midpoint for their EBITDA guide. I believe 69% higher. With also, I don't think they defined how much their revenue beat by, or maybe they did in a roundabout way. But in any case, this is a company I've been in because they gave good guidance all the way back here on November 15th. Now they come out and they raise that guidance very significantly. But I'm not too thrilled about this price action. I was hoping for a little stronger action today. Godfather, let's pause there. Get your take on True Golf before we move on.
Yeah, so look, this is a company that only has one analyst that covers it. And their published estimates were 23 million and 1.5 on EBITDA. So the 22.5 and 1.2 are more or less in line with what was out there. That said, it's the pace in the second half with EBITDA to 2.2 suggests to me that my numbers, which for 2025, which is obviously what the market is focusing on now in terms of valuation, I'm guessing they can get to 5 million in EBITDA and around 30 million in revenue. And if that's the case, the current valuation is around 3.7 times EV EBITDA, which is really, really cheap.
Absurdly cheap.
Yeah. Now the wild card here is what's with the debt. So they had this odd structure with the pipe convert holders, where the convert holders could actually force the company to issue them debt. It's a nice piece of paper for them. It's a 10% cash yielder. If the company chooses to pay in shares instead of cash for the interest, they get paid at a rate of 15%. So it's really nice. That stuff is exercisable at 2.5, convertible at 2 or 2.5 for a portion of it. And then there's a series of clauses. These are sort of normal default clauses, but if any of these things trigger, then they could potentially get a reset on that convert down to 90% of the 5-day lowest VWAP prior to conversion notice. That said, if they do an issue at any point, the reset to the converts goes to that issue price. So there is 20.4 million in convertible debt that was issued by the company. This is it, and it's they don't need it from what I can see. This is a franchise model. Sure, there's going to be some working capital needs, all the rest of it, but it's very low in terms of capex. So that's out there as debt, 20.4 million. But the question is, how much of that have they actually spent? Because the balance of that would just sit on the balance sheet as cash. So I've conservatively assumed that they burned 5 million of that for capex, for product development, for whatever. And even if you do that, you're around 4.7 times EV EBITDA. So you're still under 5 for a company that's growing in the 30% plus range. That seems really reasonable to me. And I love this sort of low capex type model. We need to see two things. We need to see, one, clarification on the balance sheet, and two, we actually need to see some traction on the franchise model. So I'm not sure that this next quarter gives us a great deal, but the quarter following, we should have some run rate numbers that, I think at that point, assuming there isn't anything that would trigger these default clauses in the converts, and I personally don't see it at this point, the stock then should trade up closer to its fair value, which I've maintained all the way through this piece is around $1. So that's where I stand on it.
Yep, and I love also that it's when you have a company this small, right, 15 million market cap, but it's a product that you can see, touch, and feel. It's real. Like a lot of these like tiny little micro caps, you can't independently validate that. There's a lot of trust involved, right? When you're dealing with these niche products or B2B kind of services, but this is a retail product. You can see it, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can see the news about it, you can see these franchises being launched on True Golf. So that makes it more compelling for me as well. And it looks like there's some sort of inflection going on in profitability here. So I've been in this for months and I haven't wavered. I've held the core position, but then I basically doubled my position last night So we'll see. Okay, that's Trug. Thank you for that.
Yeah, one last
Pete,
point on that, though,
go ahead.
because and I think this is important. This is a trading vehicle right now. It's not an investment vehicle. At least that's the way the market's treating it. Because if you do the math, the float is somewhere around 18.5 million, and we've traded over 3 times that today. So, I just think there's a lot of retail in here trading it, as opposed to, people paying attention and focusing on the fundamentals. So it's an unusual opportunity where I think you can hold a core position here and do well. I think you're going to see a double in 6 months. In the meantime, take advantage of this liquidity and trade it, buy dips and sell rips.
6 months. Oh man,
I know it's really going to be 2 quarters from my guess.
I'm looking for a double much faster. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's move on to PBI. This one, I think we've probably talked about a lot about this in the last couple of weeks, and it paid off for us. This was probably my largest position going into the earnings report, and is one of the reasons, up really great this year, and is one of the reasons, like you can see this multiple days in a row, helped my account have a green close. Even coming into today, after that earnings report, I had about a 11% position and about 3% in call options. Intraday today, I doubled my common share position, so I'm probably at like 20% PBI in my account right now, because I think we could be seeing a little bit of a breakout here today on PBI. We don't have time to get into the whole thesis. We've done that for you here before, but just looking at these technicals, I mean, this was high and tight coming into today with these last 3 candles, broke out of yesterday's high, broke out of the proximal high there of 1081. Looking at the technicals, I have the next target for me is about 11 to 1120 is the next target. But you and I both have talked about, and we're both on the same page, that this is worth 15 to 17 fundamentally. The question is, is that going to be unlocked? Is it, is it a sexy enough business? They have enough top line growth for the market to come in and price it at 15 to 17. I would say the optionality upside here, the potential for that to happen might be related to some buzz about USPS making some changes towards efficiency. But Pitney Bowes, right? They could get some business with USPS to be more efficient than what they do in-house. But in any case, this is my largest position right now in my short-term account and my long-term account. I just feel like the risk reward, even at these levels, are really, really good. And it's like kind of optionality upside. I feel like I'm holding cash and it's optionality upside. I don't know, Godfather, I have a feeling you have a similar view on this.
Yeah. So just to reiterate what you said, valuation, it should be trading in the $15 to $17 range. What's it going to take to get there? It needs a little bit of multiple expansion. What's it going to take to get some multiple expansion? They're going to need to show some growth. Just cutting costs and expanding margins alone isn't going to cut it. That said, I think that the reaction post every box that they checked in the recent quarter is still kind of underplayed. I mean, I am surprised that the stock is still under 11. I would have thought that this thing would have gone to the $11.5, $12 range, right after earnings, based on the incremental that they gave us. I think maybe there's a little bit of pause with the Hestia sell program to lower their positions, but I'm watching the volumes closely, and it's interesting on days like today where some of the the theme stocks and the growth stocks aren't working and so on. You see relative volume increases and relative outperformance of names like this. So it's definitely on the safety end of the margin, on the spectrum in terms of margin versus some of these wild ass growth names. So I think it's a great ballast in a portfolio. And I do think it's just a matter of being patient and having this thing revalue, because unlike what we just talked about in Trug, I don't think there are a lot of traders left in this name. I think that we saw most of that churn out going into the quarter and the few days post the quarter, and now I think what you're seeing is institutionals and long-term holders that will continually grind this thing higher.
Speaking of those theme trades, apparently the whole quantum sector is moving right now on some Microsoft news. It just hit as we came on the show. I don't know what that news is, but I'm seeing all kinds of alerts about it. Something with Microsoft. Check out these quantum names right here, starting with the lowest quality ones here: QUBT, RGT. They all have the same pattern. They're all popping LEAS. I don't know what's going on, but something with Microsoft and Quantum is on the move. All right.
Two
If you haven't,
words: sell rips.
sell the rips. Yeah, I'm not in any Quantum names right now.
Me neither.
Too far away from me in terms of revenue, and growth and earnings and stuff like that. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Let's talk about some popular names here: Tesla, Hims, and Hood. All right. So start with Tesla here. This is tough to trade, man. I really thought we were trying to find the bottom in Tesla last week. I initially got in like in between that 360, 350 range. Been trying to do it with TSLL call options, and then that failed. Then our next entry was perfect. After the 350 failed, we got in at 325 the day right here at the close on February 11th. That was beautiful. Made a little bit of money on TSL calls the next day. I didn't hold it long enough though. I've had a 380 target on this for the last several days, but I got to tell you, it may get there. It may get right to that 20 DMA here by the end of this week. But psychologically, this is just so hard to trade. You can have your targets, you can have your thesis and your logic and everything. But Tesla is just incredibly difficult to trade. And, I'm not even sure why I do it, because I probably don't make money trading Tesla, but I do have this, my long-term account. I did do a good trade up here. I sold some at 420 and I bought back at like 330 or something, some of my shares. So, but in any case, Tesla's on my radar for possible move to 380 by Friday. Now let's move on to a couple other names. Hims, I really feel bad that we didn't put any trades on this, because this is a stock that in our community we've been trading for a couple years, and we nailed a lot of these up moves. And I hold it in my long-term account, and I started selling over the last couple weeks, sold more today, sold like another 20-25% of my shares today. But I kind of really feel bad that we missed these opportunities. I guess it was a Super Bowl ad that kicked things off here, this big candle February 13th. And then another candle today because they're buying some lab today for testing something or the other. But look, I don't talk about this much. I guess ever since it kind of exploded, I just kind of leave it in my long-term account. But, I am selling some today. I don't know. Maybe it's the wrong thing to do. I see a lot of analysts coming out here with price targets like here, 68. Who's this? Canaccord Genuity, 38 to 68. And I saw a couple others in the mid to high six. Here it is, BTIG, 35 to 85. Morgan Stanley, 42 to 60. I don't know what's changed. When this thing was $10, $15, I was saying that this thing is worth $40. And for some reason, all these analysts changed their mind in the last couple of weeks. But to me, the story has never changed. And we were really early. And, I just kind of regret that we didn't do trade ideas on this in the trade account and sitting there in the long term. But anyway, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Godfather.
Yeah, the action of the last couple of weeks, it really looks like short covering to me. Depending on who you look at in terms of providing these numbers and whether they're updated or not, you're still talking about upwards of a 30% short position. So, and the action in the stock, just suggests it's, you look at it, it's very similar to what we're seeing in SMCI right now. But in terms of the model, look, this is an expensive stock. There's no two ways about it. That said, there's still a lot of scope for margin expansion. And I think if you dig into the, I haven't read the Canaccord note yet this morning or any of the others, but I will. My model showed that they still had EBITDA margins around the 12.5% range. And I think in maturity in their model, that has the scope to double or more. So that provides a great deal of leverage. That's probably how you get to the $85 numbers. But what does your RSI show? Is it starting to get overbought here at Scott?
Yeah, it's overbought on every time. That's why I've been selling. On the daily, It's overbought. On the weekly, it's overbought, and even on the monthly, it's overbought. So yeah, I started selling him.
The way I found success, and I know you do a fair amount of the same, is holding core positions in companies that we have a conviction in, and not selling out of winners, but trading around them. And to me, this looks like an opportunity to trade around. I think you're going to get an opportunity if you sold any stock today to buy back cheaper. It just really screams that it's being driven by short covering, which is great. You don't have to sell it all in one go, but piecemealing it out the way you're doing, I think, is the right thing to be doing right here.
That's Hims. All right. Let's take a look at Hood because I have a core position in Hood, but another stock that I just don't trade. I just tuck away in my long-term account. And I was personally blown away by this earnings report. And also I saw some snippets, some video clips of the conference call. It was like a video conference call after, I think. And I was very impressed by what's going on, both the numbers and also the commentary from management and everything they're doing and how they're leveraging AI to increase, their margins. Pretty impressive stuff. I don't have it. We did trade this the first day or two successfully, and I'm looking to get back in a trade position on this. You have support up here at 57.27. We're in kind of that gap now, so maybe we'll get towards that. But fundamentally, I don't know. I didn't do a deep dive. I just look at it superficially, and I think what do they do? I think they did $1 EPS roughly in that quarter that just passed. And if you annualize that, that's $4, and it's 60 divided by 4 is what's that, like a 15 PE or something like that? I don't know. I look at it like that, and that's as deep as I get. I also make another kind of calculation: is this a seasonal business? Can they sustain? Can I basically annualize that $1? And in my mind, you can. I'm sure there's some seasonality, but in my mind, I think, and even if there is some seasonality, I think growth will take care of that. So I think you can do back of the napkin math, get to $4 EPS and say this is a low PE, and maybe it's headed to $80, $85, $90. There's some price targets out there by analysts that they revise after the earnings report up in the 80s. So I'm very looking forward to doing another trade on this as we approach some sort of technical support level, hopefully here in the near future.
Yeah, this is a name that I hold in my long-term account. Unfortunately, it's smaller than I would like it to be, and I'm looking to add to it. So I'm looking at the same level that you're looking at. If I can get this under 57, I'll add to it. I was remiss to want to chase it. I sort of had my finger on the trigger and then never did. And I'm kind of happy I didn't, because it's come back a little bit. But I would certainly love to buy some more of this on the with a 5 handle to it. From a fundamental standpoint, yeah, it's not ridiculously expensive. I think it's expensive relative to where it has traded historically. But what they're doing to the platform in terms of adding utility, adding products, not just going deeper with existing clients in terms of retention and long-term value, but new client attraction and the international expansion. So, I think they're firing on all cylinders from a fundamental standpoint. This is a name that I regret every time I sell it. So I won't be making any more sales. It's about trying to add to a long-term
So you're the
position.
fundamental guy. What do you think of my back of the napkin math on what this thing's worth? Is that a okay approach for you?
Yeah, you're pretty close. I mean, some people would say that it doesn't trade on earnings; it trades more on cash flow. But I tend to agree with you. I think it is more of a PE trader. But yeah, look, I'm just trying to get I'm trying not to get hung up on the fundamentals too much here, because what they're doing from a product development standpoint and a platform development standpoint, I don't think that you can fully value that all just by looking at the numbers that they're doing, this quarter and or next. It's a multi-year rollout strategy, and I think that they're in the right place.
All right, that's Hood. So we're on the same page, it looks like, on all these, except I know you don't do Tesla, but all right, let's move on here. Here's a quick little trade I'm in from this morning. It's a company that provides IVF services. I forgot exactly what they do. I looked into this a few months ago when it was first coming around that, this could be a Trump trade. And yesterday, executive order to try to come up with ways to make access greater and more affordable for IVF. And so I'm in it now. We'll see. These technicals are very interesting because it broke this resistance as 6 days in a row at like 2380, and it broke that at least temporarily. It's just back below it now, but that's a very interesting level that I think maybe this moves another couple dollars. I don't know if you've ever looked into this company, Godfather.
I remember looking at it when we had that last announcement. When was that? That was sort of
before the election, I think.
September, right? Yeah, it was around mid-September. And it came off hard. I can't remember what the catalyst was, but it came off hard, from the 20s into the teens. And I have not looked at it since, but it's made up all of that ground again. So it makes me a bit nervous that we're right back at that 23 level. But I honestly am not updated on the fundamentals to provide some value there. And again, it's probably trading more on this,
Yeah, it is. Right? Wow, this seems just...
And it is really the only player in terms of pure play, so it will be the go-to player.
All right, let me last stock I'm going to talk about here is ASTS, and then we'll turn it over to see if you have any more. But this has been a huge, probably my number one biggest winner of 2025 by far. We were in this we are like early, man, $18 all the way to the mid 20s or 30s. I mean, we got in another time. Now, my third entry didn't work. My third entry was yesterday morning. I thought yesterday morning that we're on our way to break 39 this week. So maybe I'm getting a little greedy here on this ASTS. You should know the thesis now if you follow us on here or on X, or if you're in a Discord. But crazy, wild price action. I don't know if you got any thoughts on where this goes next, Godfather.
Well, as I said for a long time, the fair value of this is much higher in the $50 to $60 range.
If they deploy everything, right?
Yeah, that's right. And no hiccups, timelines, all these things can get delayed. For the longest time, people were just taking a wait and see approach because there were concerns about technology, and I think they've overcome that. There were concerns about their debt and the capex, and I think they've kind of overcome that because they've done some really innovative financing structures, prepaid royalty deals with their MNOs, and they've got the support, right? That they have over 45 of these agreements in place with the largest carriers in the world. So it's like a mining company where you put up all the money up front to build the mine, and then you start collecting the cash flow. And this is building cell towers in the sky effectively. They got to put through the capex before they can start getting the cash flow. And when they do, the model is tremendous here because they're essentially a toll taker. So almost every dollar of revenue goes to the bottom line. There really isn't a lot of incremental costs. So it's a question of PVing those cash flows, and then it's a question of the market wanting to pay for it. And this is where you're targeting the sentiment, really was key, because from a fundamental standpoint, that hasn't changed. The timelines haven't really changed. It's just the market's willingness to say, okay, we're going to start giving a multiple on some of that future cash flow. And for the longest time, it didn't do that, right? Like it basically traded in this range between 22 and 26, all the way from September until December or the beginning of January. And, you're calling it at 18. I didn't see that initially, and I didn't buy into it, and I didn't get on board until it was a little bit late, like 22, 23, and then I sold early. So, I'm not sure what, I know there were a couple of it was
a Vodafone demo. That was it. Seeing is believing, right? So like you had the thesis on paper.
So you get over a capitulation point or an inflection point in sentiment. And I think that's what turned it. And because of the short position in this, that's all it takes. And then that momentum builds. So are we starting to see some exhaustion here around the $32 mark? It looks to be consolidating a little bit. I expect that this thing probably sits in the 26 to 32 range. So, I'd like to buy it back in that kind of
You'll see the risk of waiting,
pressure.
Which is why I was quick to jump back in. The risk of waiting is the thing that kicked it off was the Vodafone demo. You can any day within the next few weeks, you can have a demo from Verizon and AT&T. They're testing it now. And as soon as those comes out, I think forget about it. This thing's new all-time highs. It's over $40 if there's successful demos of Verizon and AT&T. So that's soon. That's in the next few weeks. In my opinion, I think that's what's going to happen. All right, it's 11:27. PBI is working, by the way. This is beautiful. Are there any final 1 minute pitches? Any stocks you want to talk about?
I think in terms of what's topical, Shift4 Payments been one of the best companies in the market over the last sort of 3 to 5 years. The stock was at a 52-week high prior to this quarter. They came in a little bit light on their revenue and cash flow guidance. But the reason the stock is down as much as it is because they made the largest acquisition in their history. There is $1.8 billion. It's a $2.5 billion transaction. $1.8 billion that's subject to financing, and they said they would do that through a combination of debt and or converts. I think that's pressuring the stock a little bit. But if you zoom out and you take a larger, a bigger picture of what's the importance of this for their international expansion, and this has really been the focus of the company of late, has been the international expansion. This is a tremendous platform for them. It gives them the infrastructure in countries across the globe where they wanted to expand further. It gives them functionality like dynamic currency conversion, which was something that they were looking to build internally. And these guys have a tremendous track record of acquisitions. If you look at all of their past acquisitions, the average free cash flow yield on those is over 16%. I see this as being no different. It's not going to be the sort of buy and strip out the technology that they've done in the past, where they just essentially were acquiring customers. Because, like I said, there's a lot of utility to the platform that's been built here, and this is a Global Blue has the largest franchise in duty-free stores, tax-free stores, high-end luxury. And they're buying this at a time when China has been quiet, right? There's been some resurgence just of late, but it's been the Chinese tourists that spend that kind of money, the $10,000 handbags at duty free and all the rest of it. And also Russia has been completely absent from the market. So they're buying this thing at 13 times EV/EBITDA, and their numbers are really conservative. They're assuming no growth. They're not even factoring in the 70 million in EBITDA synergies that they're likely to see. So this thing is going to recover, and I think you're going to see an immediate recovery of $5 to $10 in the next week, and then eventually it'll grind back to new highs again, because this is exactly what they need in terms of their growth profile, and full faith in management's ability to convert this opportunity.
All right, there you have it. HIMS back over 70, PBI heading towards 11. That HIMS is crazy, Ryan. Have you been looking at this? Oh my
God. I have. I'll be honest with you. I did not trade that. We actually had a gentleman in our show call a buy at 42 just a couple of sessions ago, yeah. And he is sitting high right now.
Can you imagine those call options if you got in after the Super Bowl a couple weeks out and you held them? They're probably up like 15,000% or something.
Yeah, I actually he might have calls on that. Anyway, really good stuff here, folks.
All right,
we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Yeah, and make sure to follow us. That's Story Trading on X, or if you want to join our Discord, head on over to storytrading.com.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually I think I'd follow you already, Godfather and Ben. I actually just followed Rhett this morning. Folks, be sure to hit that follow button, follow them up. Guys, thanks again. We're going to send it over to Futures Fever. We'll see you boys next week, all right?